Part 34. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 331. At night, at the foot of Pingshan Mountain, at the gate of the Adjudication Army's camp. Hearing the clear and rapid sound of horse hooves coming from the darkness in the distance, the 2 sentries of the Judgment Army stationed at the gate of the camp suddenly turned their heads and looked at the dark street, showing a vigilant look. It is forbidden to gallop on horseback in the capital city unless it is an emergency. Moreover, it was so late now, and the sound of horse hooves was obviously coming towards the entrance of the Adjudication Army's camp, which made the 2 Adjudication Army sentries guarding the door have to be more vigilant. The sound of horse hooves came closer and closer. In the blink of an eye, the 2 sentries at the entrance of the Adjudication Army camp saw a man riding a black 1,000-mile horse. In the blink of an eye, he rushed out of the street not far away. He ran towards the gate of the adjutant's camp. "Come here, stop." A sentry raised his hand and said directly to the charging knight. "The horse is like a wild dragon, and the man is like a tiger." The 1,000-mile horse rushed to the gate of the Judgment Army's camp and neighed. The whole horse almost stood up at once. The man on the horse had already left the horse's back and flew out from the horse. The summoned Kol Lima turned around into a cloud of black smoke and was recalled to the secret mandala. Xiaoping'an was in the air, having already taken out the inspector's belt, but his eyes lit up in front of the 2 adjudicators. Without stopping, he just clicked on the ground outside the camp gate and flew away. Enter the Pingshan camp of the Judgment Army. With the inspector's waist card in hand, entering Pingshan camp can be as smooth as returning to his hometown. It wasn't until Xiaoping'an disappeared at the gate of the camp that the 2 sentries of the Judgment Army turned their heads and glanced at his back. "Is this person Xiaoping'an, the inspector of Donggang?" a sentry asked. "That should be it. I saw him last time he came to the camp. I heard that this person is very popular. Not long after he became the inspector, everyone in the capital knew about it." The sentry who spoke said with some envy. "The man who is in the limelight is also very capable. He even dared to break into the governor's mansion to take people. I heard that the garrison was defeated in his hands. To be honest, I admire him a lot. If I have a chance in the future, why not go to the inspectorate to practice? But it is much more nourishing than in this big camp. Looking at him, he seems to be in an emergency. Well, maybe." Xiaoping'an came to the Judgment Army camp, went straight to the other courtyard where Lin Yi lived, and asked to see Lin Yi. Xiaoping'an, the attendant next to Ji Yi, was brought to Ji Yi's living room. After waiting for a while, Xiaoping'an saw Ji Jinyi striding in wearing a robe. "It's so late, what's the matter?" Lin Yi naturally knew that Xiaoping'an didn't go to the 3 Treasures Hall for anything, so he immediately asked straight to the point. "Didn't the Lord Commander say last time that if there was any news about the Dream Demon, he could come to you directly?" As soon as he heard the word Dream Demon from Xiaoping'an's mouth, Ji Yi immediately became energetic. During the day, he went into the palace to see the Emperor. His Majesty the Emperor asked about the Dream Demon again, and the adjudicator was under great pressure. "A Dream Demon has disturbed the whole city of Shangjing. No one knows where the Dream Demon will cause trouble next time. Do you have any news about the Dream Demon?" Ji Yi asked directly. "I just received another message from that person. That person said that he had caught some traces of the Dream Demon, but..." Xiaoping'an deliberately left a tail. "But what?" Lin Yi asked. "But that person said that the Dream Demon's whereabouts are strange, and he is extremely cautious, and changes his identity at any time. Moreover, the Dream Demon only stays in one place for a short time and is often moving. That person passed the message to me, and I will pass the message on. Give it to the Judgment Army. If the Judgment Army mobilizes its manpower to ambush, the time process will be too long and it will be difficult to catch the Dream Demon." Ji Yi frowned slightly. "How does that person usually contact you?" "I don't know how he contacts me. He usually looks for me and I can't find him at all. When he looks for me, no matter where I am, I can hear his voice coming into my ears. He can hear what I say. I don't know how he does it, it may be some kind of secret method. Can that person take action to hold back the dream demon? I told him before. I said that as long as he can delay or capture the dream demon, he can ask for anything he wants, and the Judgment Army will give him an extremely generous reward. The man refused. He said that he would only provide I have information, but he will not personally deal with the people of the Blood Demon section. By the way, he just told me that the Blood Demon sect has buried a bigger mine in Shangjing City that has not been dug out by the Judgment Army. The mine of the Blood Demon sect, it's going to explode and shake the entire Great Shang Kingdom. The Dream Demon is just a pawn of the Blood Demon cult in Shangjing City. Lin Yi's eyes flashed, and his eyebrows were raised. The Blood Demon sect still has bigger mines in Shangjing that we haven't dug out yet? That person really said that? Yes, that's what he told me. Because the matter is so important, I came to see you all night long. In your opinion, how should this matter be handled? I'm just a small inspector. For such a big matter, I naturally have to obey the arrangements of the adults. Xiaopingan lowered his eyes, looking honest and courteous. Ji Yi stared at Xiaopingan's face. Are you afraid of death? I'm afraid, of course I'm afraid, but if it's my duty, I won't hesitate to go through fire and water. Very good. After hearing this, Ji Yi nodded, put his hands behind his back, and walked around the living room with a serious face. After walking around for a few times, he clapped his hands gently, and a waiter appeared in the living room. Grown-ups. Have the 4 shadow guards and Lu Tishao come to see me immediately. Yes, the waiter immediately turned around and left. Ahem, sir, I have conveyed that person's message. If there is nothing else, I will leave. Xiaopingan looked obedient. Ji Yi wanted to summon other important figures in the Judgment Army. It seemed inappropriate for the young inspector to stay here, so he took the initiative to leave. Wait a minute, I will introduce a few people to you later, and I will also arrange things for you, Lin Yi said, clapped his hands again, and a waiter brought tea. Lin Yi asked Xiaopingan sitting aside, this is the Lingwu tea I drank myself. Try it. Thank you, sir. The two of them drank tea and finished a pot of tea. 10 minutes later, 5 people entered the living room led by the waiter next to Ji Yi. Xiaopingan has met 4 of these 5 people, namely Granny Yu, Master Mao Mao, Demon Sword, and Scholar. The demonic sword is invisible. It has been with Xiaopingan for a while before. It usually hides in the void and never shows its appearance and body. It is like an invisible man. This is the first time Xiaopingan has seen him. The real demon sword is wrapped in white cloth and wears a white robe. It is white from head to toe. The fingernails are not exposed. Only a pair of eyes are exposed from the white cloth wrapped around the face. Even the eyes are white. The whole body is white. The person exuded a strange demonic aura, looking exactly like a mummy. Granny Yu didn't carry her flower basket, Master Mao Mao didn't have a fishing rod in his hand, and the scholar didn't have a pen in his hand. All 3 of them looked serious. Lu Tai was tall, with a beard all over his face. He had 2 knives, one long and one short, on his waist. He also wore the iron gloves worn by a team of adjudicators on missions. He was as silent as thunder, but filled with murderous intent. I've met the commander. 5 people saluted Ji Yi at the same time, and several of them unknowingly glanced at Xiaopingan, who was standing neatly in the narration. This is Xiaopingan, inspector of Donggang. Lin Yi went straight to the topic without any nonsense and introduced Xiaopingan to the 5 people. Xiaopingan was also a member of the Shadow Guard before. Maybe you have heard of this name before. But there is another thing that you may not know. From the last assassination of His Royal Highness to the killing of the 4 demons, all the important information about the Blood Demon cult in the capital city came from him. Without him, the blood demon cult would have been lost. The demon sect may still be doing whatever they want in the capital city, but it is impossible to kill 4 of the 5 demons. Hearing what Ji Yi said, the 5 people looked at Xiaopinggan a little differently, with a hint of surprise. Being able to locate the whereabouts of 4 of the 5 demons and knowing the blood demon cult's plot to assassinate the prince, how did Xiaopinggan do it? Now that the 5 demons have killed 4 people, only one dream demon is still causing trouble in the upper capital. The dream demon is cunning and unpredictable, making it very difficult to deal with. Moreover, the dream demon and the blood demon sect may still be hiding many remnants in the upper capital. This time, if the shadow guards want to kill the dream demon and further eliminate the remnants of the blood demon sect in the upper capital, they must take extraordinary measures. They must succeed in one attack and cannot let the dream demon and the remnants escape, so I called the 5 of you. Ji Yi glanced at the faces of the 5 people with a serious look. From now on, until the dream demon is killed, the 5 of you will be commanded by Xiaopinggan. As long as the location of the action does not involve the imperial city, you can move freely. If the location involves the imperial city, you must inform me and you can only act with my permission. Is there any problem? The 5 people glanced at Xiaopinggan again and saluted Ji Yi. Yes. As long as the action does not involve the imperial city, it is impossible to cause chaos, and these 5 people are all old men of the Judgment Army and the Shadow Guard. It is impossible for Xiaopinggan to command them to do anything illegal. Lin Yi is very confident in people's abilities. Xiaopinggan's face was full of fear, and he quickly saluted Lin Yi. Sir, this is absolutely impossible. The 5 of them are all my seniors, and their cultivation qualifications are 10 times better than mine. How can I dare to command 5 people? A senior has done something, please take it back. After hearing Xiaopinggan's words, the 5 people looked at Xiaopinggan with softened eyes, thinking that this kid is quite sensible. Lin Yi waved his hand. I have made up my mind. You don't need to say any more. To deal with extraordinary people, you can only use extraordinary means. From now on, I officially authorize you. As soon as you get information about the dream demon, there is no need to ask me for instructions. You can immediately command them to take action to kill the dream demon and the remnants of the blood demon section. The 5 of them are all old men of the Shadow Guard. They know the seriousness of the matter and will definitely cooperate with you. Then, okay, Xiaopinggan nodded. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 332. At the same time, in a mysterious place in Jinyu continent, in the Golden Moon Palace of the Blood Demon section. In the huge deep well, as before, the sacrifice of the Devil's Eye continued. 360 living people were crushed by the team of wooden puppets with their movable bones, and then placed at the bottom of the cave. Place the sacrifice symbol into the Devil's Eye. Screams, cries, begging for mercy, and curses filled the entire cave. Then, among the densely packed holes in the walls around the deep well, snake-like monsters crawled out of those holes and quickly swarmed towards the Devil's Eye sacrificial totem in the venue. The people who were sacrificed became the food of those strange insects, but they could not move and could only watch themselves and the people around them being eaten alive by the strange insects bit by bit. Death is a luxury for them. Unspeakable fear, pain, and despair boiled in the deep well, overflowing and dissipating into the void, as if being swallowed by an invisible mouth. The invisible energy of consciousness that finally erupted from those who were sacrificed was full of negative despair. It was the last struggle of life, the final curse, endless darkness and pain. 2 rounds of moonlight in the sky shone in from the gaps in the surrounding towering mountain peaks. The moonlight merged into a blood-red light, which just hit the eyes of the Devil's Eye at the bottom of the deep well. The blood-red eyes seemed to come alive, and countless strange insects were squirming on those people, as if the eyes were blinking gently. In the palace above the deep well, the master of the palace, wearing a black robe, with an evil and handsome face, and a trace of blood in his eyes, was sitting on the throne in front of a huge demon sculpture in the palace, looking coldly at the person standing there. The dark crowd in the palace. The 5 demons entered Shangjing City, and so far, 4 of them have died. Shangjing City is still singing and dancing. The strength of the Great Shang Kingdom is really unexpected. Who can tell me, is the Shangjing City of the Great Shang Kingdom are blood demons? Is it a forbidden area for the religion? When did Baitang Zhao become so strong? The young man's voice echoed in the palace, neither happy nor angry, but full of depressing aura, and no one could answer. The young man was about to say something. At this moment, in the void above the deep well, the space seemed to split suddenly, and an unimaginable terrifying pressure and will descended on the statue in the palace. On the huge demon sculpture. The eyes of the huge demon sculpture slowly opened, revealing a pair of blood-red eyes. With just one glance, everyone in the hall was suppressed by the terrifying pressure and all knelt on the ground, trembling physically and mentally. The devil is coming, the devil is coming. Everyone's hearts were shouting, trembling, and in awe. Every creature, like dust in the storm, completely surrendered in front of that terrifying power. Pass the demon god's order, all the demon gods and all the people from all continents and all walks of life in the Yuan Kai world who regard me as the leader, from now on, will kill Xia Ping'an, the Sky Crosser, at all costs. No matter who can kill Xia Ping'an, I will give them the divine spring of eternal life to help them condense their eternal bodies. Those who can sacrifice Xia Ping'an to me will be filled with the blood of the devil. I will personally light the divine fire for them and condense the divine will. That transcendent will and voice came like a tsunami, echoing throughout the world and in everyone's consciousness. After the voice and will dissipated for a long time, the people kneeling in the hall recovered from the unspeakable oppressive will and stood up tremblingly. The dominant demon god personally issued the demon god's order to everyone. Kill Ping'an and gain eternal life. If Xia Ping'an can be sacrificed, he can be directly made a god. In the countless long history of the blood demon sect, the demon god's order has only been issued twice. It was during several earth-shaking battles between the gods in ancient times. The will of the dominant demon god came and he personally issued the demon god's order twice. Make. This is the 3rd time. For a mortal. And the highest reward is actually, becoming a god. Eternal life, conferred as a god. Everyone was shocked. The next second, the palace master with an evil and handsome face was the first to rise into the air. Without saying a word, he flew directly into the air and disappeared in an instant. The remaining people in the hall stayed for 2 seconds, and then, swish, 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 they all flew up one by one, all flying in the same direction. The demon god's order is the highest command and will, transcending everything. Except for the people of the blood demon cult, anyone who completes the tasks on the demon god's order can get rewards from the dominant demon god. They are the closest to the Great Shang Kingdom. If they wait a little longer, strong masters from other continents will swarm in if they don't listen. The opportunity for immortality and godhood lies in Shangjing City. Crazy. When the sky was slightly bright, Luo Laojiao found a black carriage parked at the door of the supervision office, and then Xia Ping'an got off the carriage. The iron-masked man followed Xia Ping'an, and a little black pig followed behind the iron-masked man. "Good morning, sir." Luo Laojiao rushed out of the door and greeted Xia Ping'an with a bright smile. Donggang Inspectorate's salary bonus for last month has been paid out. 1 month's income is more than last year, and Luo Laojiao also shares in it. This makes Luo Laojiao feel so good that he even has extra money to say hello to Xia Ping'an. A bit of enthusiasm that comes from the heart. Today's inspector came very early, almost the earliest one. Luo Laojiao did not dare to ask any more questions and could only watch Xia Ping'an enter the building of the inspection office. As usual, Wei Miu arrived at the office early and was cleaning. As soon as Xia Ping'an arrived at the office, he asked Wei Miu to notify Qi Daifeng and called him to the office. Sir, are you calling me? Chi Daifeng was also respectful in front of Xiaopingan. Bring the warrior to me, and then go through the procedures for the warrior to be released from prison. I have found out his affairs. There is not much harm. According to the crime of illegal possession of dangerous goods, he will be detained here to serve his sentence. It's enough time. Xiaopingan said directly. Although Chi Daifeng still had some doubts in his heart, since Xiaopingan had spoken, he said nothing more, saluted, turned around and left to make arrangements. In just a moment, the 8th level warrior with a terrifying face came to Xiaopingan's office and was looking at Xiaopingan with suspicious eyes. He had just heard the news that the inspector was going to let him go, and he still felt incredible. You will be free today. I will let you out today, but you cannot stay in Shangjing City longer. You must leave the Great Shang Kingdom. Xiaopingan said to the ghost slave. Why? The ghost slave asked in a deep voice. No reason. Your face is too scary in Shangjing City. Find a place to stay by yourself from now on. Don't come around Shangjing City if you have nothing to do. After speaking to the ghost slave, Xiaopingan looked at the iron masked man in the room. Iron Mask brother Mian, I'll help you this time. Take him on a boat and escort him out of the Great Shang Kingdom. When you leave the Great Shang Kingdom, you can break the shackles on him. The iron-faced man did not expect that Xiaopingan would suddenly arrange such an errand for himself. If you take him out of the Great Shang Kingdom by boat, the round trip will take at least half a month. Your safety. It doesn't matter, I have a special mission these days, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of masters from the Judgment Army. I'm afraid no one will come to trouble me. Hearing what Xiaopingan said, the man in the iron mask looked at the ghost slave's face and nodded, okay. This job is not difficult for the man in the iron mask. He just has to leave the capital temporarily for a few days. Well, remember to put a mask on his face. There is a ship at the dock this morning. I will give you a mission token. You can take him and leave now, Xiaopingan said. Pulling out of the drawer he took out a mission token from the Judgment Army and handed it to the man in the iron mask. With that mission token, even if you go out to perform official duties, you can avoid a lot of trouble. The ghost slave had been looking at Xiaopingan silently. When he heard Xiaopingan's arrangement, his eyes moved and he remained silent. The man in the iron mask took the token and left with the ghost slave without any nonsense. However, when he walked to the door, the ghost slave suddenly turned around and looked at Xiaopingan. Have you been to that place? Ha ha ha, you are overthinking. I was busy yesterday and didn't leave the capital, Xiaopingan smiled. A moment later, Xiaopingan stood at the window and watched the man in the iron mask leading the ghost slave into a carriage, which drove straight to the dock. After waiting for the carriage to leave his sight, Xiaopingan turned his head, looked at this familiar office, and suddenly sighed. Some things have to be done. At noon, go to a tea house somewhere in the capital. Wearing a hat and a beard, Yan Duo sneaked in through the main entrance of the tea house, then went up to the second floor of the tea house. After walking around on the second floor of the tea house, he asked for an unoccupied box and entered. He sat down next to the window in the box, then opened the window in the box and scanned the surroundings with vigilant eyes. Not long after Yan Duo sat down, there was a fluttering sound in the air, and an agile eagle owl suddenly flew from a distance, flew directly in through the window, and then dropped an envelope he was holding onto Yan Duo's feet. On the table in front of me, and then flew away. Yan Duo was stunned for a moment. He opened the envelope. Inside was the handwriting he was familiar with, and several gold tickets. The total amount of the gold tickets amounted to more than 1 million gold coins, which was a terrifying amount of money. After seeing this letter, take your woman and leave Shangjing City immediately today. Do not stay. There will be great changes in the city. The golden ticket in the envelope will be used as the funds for the sky mending project and will be transferred to others at the appropriate time. Used to support other companions of the sky mending project. Lin Qing has been killed and died at the hands of the blood demon cult for the mission. No matter what happens to me, you must hide and protect yourselves and do not expose yourself. At all times, you must put the mission first, don't worry about me. Yan Duo's expression changed. The letter was from Xiaopinggan, but Xiaopinggan's tone in the letter was very decisive, as if something big was going to happen in the capital. After reading the letter, it turned into ashes in Yan Duo's hand. Yan Duo put away the golden ticket, took a deep breath, a look of determination appeared on his face, and then quickly left the tea house. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 333. As the sun set, a ray of sunset hung on the west side of Shangjing City. The red clouds were like fire and extremely beautiful. Xiaopinggan rode a carriage alone to Xuanhuan Villa in the north of Pingshan Mountain. Xuanhuan Villa is a large manor, not far from Pingshan. On the surface, Xuanhuan Villa is a summer retreat in the countryside for a wealthy man in Shangjing City, but in fact, it is one of the strongholds of the Judgment Army's Shadow Guard in Shangjing City. Xuanhuan Villa is quiet, not showing off at all. It is located in a quiet valley at the northern foot of Pingshan Mountain. There are not many villages and towns around it. Therefore, no one knows that at this moment, Xuanhuan Villa is hiding something. With a powerful force. Here, it is less than 15 miles away from Fengtai Mountain. As soon as he got off the carriage, Xiaopinggan felt a few invisible eyes falling on him in the surrounding air. He calmly walked to the vermilion door of the villa and gently used the door knocker to knock twice. After a few seconds, the door opened slightly, revealing a slightly older face. It was an old man with drooped eyelids and a weak look. He was wearing the clothes of a servant of the villa, just like an ordinary man. The gatekeeper, he glanced at Xiaopinggan, opened the door a little more, and let Xiaopinggan go in. When he closed the door, Xiaopinggan saw the old man place 2 rune traps at the door with a wave of his hand, and then led Xiaopinggan towards the villa without saying a word. There are almost no people in the villa. Of course, this is just the surface. The sharp knife power of the shadow guards are all in the villa at the moment. The 4 shadow guards and the iron hand camp are here. After passing through courtyards, corridors, and gardens, the old man took Xiaopinggan into a living room, and then left silently. There were 4 people in the living room, Granny Yu, Master Mao Mao, the scholar, and Lu Tishao. The 4 of them closed their eyes and sat on the 4 taishi chairs, like 4 silent sculptures. They were resting to recharge their batteries and getting ready for action at any time. When Xiaopinggan walked into the room, the 4 of them, the individual suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Xiaopinggan. I've met 4 seniors. Xiaopinggan entered the room and bowed to the 4 of them. The 4 people did not trust them, because Xiaopinggan was their nominal commander and leader at the moment. They did not need to take Xiaopinggan seriously, but Lin Yi's order and the rules of the Judgment Army made them, but he had to treat it with caution and didn't dare to go overboard even a little bit. The Grand Master's chair on the main seat in the room was empty. No one was sitting on it, leaving it to Xiaopinggan. The 4 of them sat on both sides of the room. The 4 people stood up at the same time and returned Xiaopinggan's gift. Where's Senior Demon Sword? Xiaopinggan glanced at the room, knowing that before he came here, the God of Fortune boy had just left. I'm here too. The demon sword could not be seen in the room, but the demon sword's voice was in the room. Except when necessary, such as when meeting Ji Yi, the demon sword was like a transparent person and never showed his figure to outsiders. Even at this time, the demon sword's voice was erratic in the room. Is there any news? Lu Tishao asked in a deep voice. No, I'm also waiting for information. Xiaopinggan shook his head. How long will it take? Lu Tishao continued to ask. I don't know. I can only wait. It may be a few hours, it may be a few days. As soon as the news comes, we will be dispatched immediately. Xiaopinggan said, and walked to the chair where the host was sitting and sat down calmly. Seniors, you can take a short rest. If the information comes, all seniors can gather here within 20 breaths. Ha ha ha, we are not so squeamish. We are just taking a nap here, squinting our eyes and taking a rest. It is the same for 10 or 8 days, Master Mao Mao laughed, sat down by himself, took out a chimney in his hand, and took care of himself. He smashed the chimney. The old woman can just embroider. It only takes a few days. Grandma Yu took out her needle and thread and started to embroider. The scholar was a little cold and didn't say anything. He just took out a book and started reading with his head shaking. Lu Tishao stopped talking, sat down directly, and closed his eyes. They are all masters, and naturally have the consciousness of masters. They know many actions. Before taking action, they are actually waiting. Sitting here for 3 to 5 days is not a problem at all. No one left the room, everyone was waiting. Xiaopinggan also sat and closed his eyes. In the blink of an eye, the picture that the god of fortune saw appeared in Xiaopinggan's consciousness. The entire Red Leaf Villa has been searched over and over by the boy of fortune. There is a secret passage in this villa, something is hidden somewhere, and how many people are there? What each person does, the lucky boy knows clearly. From yesterday to now, the crimes of Hongyi Villa have continued. 2 more children who had been drained of the immortal blood essence were thrown into the pit of the crocodile-horned beast. 3 more wealthy and dignitaries from the capital entered Hongyi Villa. That the modified carriage came again, bringing a few more 5- and 6-year-old children. Xiaopinggan is also waiting to settle things tonight. Night fell unknowingly, and the room became quiet. At the beginning, there was the sound of Master Mao Mao smoking his pipe. After he finished smoking, Master Mao Mao put away his pipe and leaned on the chair, seeming to take a nap. In the whole room, the only sound was that the scholar was reading and turning over the book. The rustling sound. Grandma Yu was embroidering something, concentrating on it, silently, and time passed by little by little. The stars and moon filled the sky appeared, and the crickets in Guanlan Villa began to chirp. The entire villa was immersed in darkness and quiet. I do not know how long it has been. Xiaopinggan closed his eyes, the spiritual platform was clear, and his will was as solid as steel. Just when he was estimating the time and wanted to open his eyes, he suddenly remembered the scene in his memory of hastily lifting his skirt and climbing over the wall. What a lovely girl! Well. Xiaopinggan suddenly opened his eyes, with a flash of light in his eyes, and stood up, his whole aura suddenly changed. Several people in the room also opened their eyes at the same time and looked at Xiaopinggan. The news has arrived. From now on, I will personally direct tonight's operations. At this moment, Xiaopinggan's tone was no longer as polite as before, and he began to give orders crisply, assemble the Iron Hand camp. Lu Tishao glanced at Xiaopinggan, said nothing, and just clapped his hands. In the garden outside the living room, 72 people wearing black robes and uniforms on their heads suddenly appeared silently. People wearing black masks and black iron gloves came. Each of the 72 people was as silent as a mountain, with black mist surging around them, like seducers coming out of the darkness. Hidden, follow me. Xiaopinggan didn't explain or say a word. He jumped out of the room and disappeared. The moment he disappeared, a bat appeared. Appearing, the bat flew directly towards the north of the villa. Illusion. Granny Yu and others took a look, and figures leapt out of the room one by one and disappeared in an instant. Lu Tishao jumped out of the room, waved his hand, and a black mist enveloped the 72 people in the Tishao camp. Then he and himself got into the black mist. When the black mist dissipated, everyone disappeared. The bat flew silently in the darkness, through the woods, through the creek, through the river and several villages, flying towards the north of the villa, and finally flew to the foot of Fengtai Mountain, bypassing the foothills of Fengtai Mountain. The military camp of the garrison appeared in a pine forest halfway up the mountain. The bat landed on the tree and disappeared, and Xiaopinggan's figure was revealed again. Granny Yu, Master Mao Mao, Yadao, Lu Tishao and people from Tishao camp also appeared next to Xiaopinggan. Outside the pine forest is a winding mountain road. Follow this winding mountain road to the top of the mountain, where you will find Hongyi Villa. A black carriage was walking leisurely on the mountain road. Just 100 meters away, in the night, a coachman was driving the carriage. The two horse lanterns in front of the carriage were moving on the winding mountain road. The horses were tied around their necks. The ringing bell was making tinkling sounds on the quiet mountain road. The carriage is approaching here. Search that carriage. There is something in the mezzanine of the carriage. Don't alert anyone. Xiaopinggan ordered. I'm good at this, let me do it. Master Mao Mao stood up and took 2 steps. An emerald green fishing rod appeared in his hand. As soon as you waved the fishing rod, the driver, 2 horses, and the car seemed to be hooked by something, and it suddenly lifted off the ground. The driver and horses were all immobilized, their bodies were stiff, and they could not make any sound. Whoosh! Master Mao Mao pulled back the pole. The carriage, 2 horses, and the driver had been caught in the pine forest. The horses and the driver fell to the ground, motionless. Dismantle the carriage and pay attention to the person in the mezzanine under the carriage. Xiaopinggan continued to order. Without saying a word, Lu Tishao took a step forward. His iron-gloved hands stretched forward, and with a squeeze of his fist, the hard carriage and wheel chassis brackets were silently dismantled and shattered, revealing what was underneath the carriage. There were 3 suitcases in the mezzanine, and the suitcase fell firmly to the ground. Xiaopinggan stepped forward and opened the button of a suitcase. Inside the suitcase was a 5 or 6-year-old girl curled up into a ball. The little girl was unconscious, her face was pale and she was motionless. Then I opened a few other suitcases, and there were children in those suitcases. Grandma, you came over and checked, these children have all been drugged. If we don't come tonight, these children will probably be sacrificed by those beasts and die worse than a beast. Xiaopinggan looked at the people around him and said softly, these are the people who can meet you. For the blessing of children, I would like to thank you all on behalf of the families and parents of these children. A group of people were silent, but an astonishing murderous aura surged and roared through everyone. Anyone who can hide the child and transport it here, no matter who he is, can be killed. Granny Yu stood up, wiped the corners of her eyes, and sighed, I want to kill a few more people tonight, so don't fight with me. Turn around this mountain, Colonel, in the woods ahead, there are secret sentries and summoners hidden by the opponent. We need to clear them out. I'll go. Yadao's hoarse voice sounded. After a while, the demon sword man came back, and only one voice sounded, we have killed them all, is there anything else? Everyone, follow me. This time, Xiaopinggan did not hide his figure anymore and led everyone to rush towards the top of the mountain. After a while, Hongyi Villa appeared in front of everyone. The Hongyi Villa was still the same as yesterday. There were 2 guards at the door, and a red lantern was hung at the door of the villa. Xiaopinggan and his men stood in the forest, looked at Hongyi Villa, and coldly issued a bloody order. Except for the children and the manager, all the people in this villa will be killed. No one will be spared. As soon as Xiaopinggan finished speaking, the heads of the 2 guards standing at the entrance of the villa flew up. Master Mao Mao waved his fishing rod and disappeared directly in front of Xiaopinggan. The next second, in the bamboo forest behind the villa, underground, in the mist, and in the stream, 2 strange eyes flashed in the darkness, and then streams of blood began to spurt out. Half of the Iron Hand Battalion's men had already rushed out, and the other half quickly surrounded the entire villa. The hardy killing began in the villa. When others rushed in and started killing, Xiaopinggan did not rush in. He just took out a cloud-piercing arrow and lit it. The cloud-piercing arrow screamed and flew high into the sky of Fengtai Mountain. It exploded violently and turned into a huge flame pattern symbolizing the Judgment Army in the sky, which did not dissipate for a long time. The weather in Shangjing City tonight is very good, and there are few clouds in the sky. As soon as the flame pattern of the Judgment Army burst out, almost the entire Shangjing City could see that it was the main force of the Judgment Army summoned in an emergency. After releasing the cloud-piercing arrow, Xiaopinggan quickly rushed into Hongyi Villa and blasted open the door of a villa with one kick. "You are so brave. What do you want to do? Get out of here." "I am." In the villa, there was a top-notch, fat-headed high-ranking official from Beijing. He was holding a bottle of eternal blood essence that he had just finished drinking. There is still a trace of residual blood in between. Seeing Xiaopinggan rushing in, the official suddenly showed his official power and scolded Xiaopinggan. "You trash, damn." Xiaopinggan's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he imprisoned the official on the ground with a picture of a prison, unable to move, and then threw out a hot fireball, which lit the official's whole body on fire and burned violently. "Ah!" The man screamed miserably, like a burning torch, but he could not escape the prison of the earth. After lighting the garbage on fire, Xiaopinggan quickly left the villa. A moment later, he appeared outside a secret room in Hongyi Villa. Xiaopinggan entered the secret room and took out 2 books from the secret room in the blink of an eye. Register. Within the 9th level of the imperial city of Shangjing. Bai Tangzhao, who was wearing an imperial robe, walked out of the imperial study with his hands behind his back and looked at the pattern in the northern sky, his expression calm. At the same time, Baitang Wangchuan also walked out of the quiet room and looked up at the pattern in the northern sky, his eyes flashing. "What is that place? That seems to be the direction of Fengtai Mountain. Could it be that the Judgment Army is making big moves there tonight?" A woman came to Baitang Wangchuan and said softly. Fengtai Mountain. Baitang Wangchuan looked confused, and he didn't know why the adjudication army was going to war in Fengtai Mountain tonight. At the foot of Fengtai Mountain, there seemed to be a barracks of the garrison, and there was nothing else. Did the adjudication army discover the dream demon? If it's a dream demon, it won't alarm the entire Judgment Army. As long as the dream demon's whereabouts are exposed, it will be solved silently. It should be something else. Well, let someone go find out. The Judgment Army and the entire Shangjing city were alarmed. Here comes a chapter of more than 4,000 words, the second chapter will be later today. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 334. The entire Hongyi Villa was filled with a strong smell of blood. As Xiaopinggan said, except for the children and a few deliberately left alive, everyone else in the villa had changed in the shortest possible time. Into corpses and fragments. When Granny Yu walked out of a room on the basement floor of the villa with a gloomy face, thousands of messy black threads were flying behind her like a peacock spreading its wings, teeth, and claws spread, and in the rooms and passages behind her, dozens of people in white coats have been cut into pieces, and not even a complete finger can be found. Thick plasma flowed out behind Granny Yu, following her steps. Granny Yu glanced at the rows of iron cages in the underground cell, and her eyelids twitched a few times. Granny Yu had never seen cruel and bloody scenes. She had seen the dark sacrificial places of the blood demon sect, large and small. "I have seen it more than once, but none of the scenes I have seen are as heart-wrenching as the scene before me. There were too many children in the iron cage. Some were wailing loudly out of fear, while others were already a little demented and had been abused to the point of mental disorder. All the children had fright and fear in their eyes. There are 2 dark circles around each child's eyes. There are many children who look like they have been abused to the point where they are neither humans nor ghosts. In the rooms she just saw, there were several new children hanging upside down, with black needles inserted all over their bodies, their faces twisted in pain, and their blood was being drawn. Just now in a villa, Granny, you saw an old man without pants, and a shivering little boy of 7 or 8 years old who was tied to the bed. Then, the old man was dismembered into millions of pieces by Granny Yu's silk thread. In the entire Hongyi villa, it is difficult to find a complete corpse, even without the smell of blood. Looking at the dungeon full of iron cages in front of her, Granny Yu squeezed out a tear from the corner of her eyes and cursed fiercely, "These days, you are so evil." Then, Granny Yu felt a powerful aura coming. Grandma Yu wants to kill a few more people. Her murderous intention tonight is hard to calm down. Granny Yu rushed to the end of the room in the corridor and caught up with several people in white who were escaping in a hurry. The wildly dancing silk threads cut past, and the bodies of the fleeing men in white were like collapsed building blocks, divided into countless pieces. Ji Yi and the people from the Judgment Army are here. The officers of the garrison at the foot of the mountain also came with a group of troops. The signal of the Judgment Army was so obvious and so close to the garrison's camp that the garrison at the foot of the mountain couldn't even ignore it. The originally quiet Hongyi villa suddenly became lively when so many people arrived. Then, the summoned farmers and slave soldiers moved out the iron cages containing the children one by one, and placed them densely together in the square of Hongyi villa. Master Mao Mao swung his fishing rod and hoisted up all the crocodile-horned beasts in the cave pond and cut open their stomachs. The stomachs of those crocodile-horned beasts were filled with an extremely fishy stench. They were all filled with the corpses of children who had either been digested or not. What a scene! Shocking! Looking at the rows of iron cages, the children, and the bones one after another, the soldiers of the Judgment Army who arrived were silent, and the soldiers of the garrison corps were also silent. It's not that everyone has never seen death or blood, it's just that they have never seen such a scene. In the noisy and bloody Hongyi villa, there was suddenly no extra sound. Only the cries of the children in the iron cage echoed in the darkness and blood. Ji Yi's face changed. He waved his hand, and countless fluorescent lights were summoned and floated throughout Hongyi villa. The entire Hongyi villa suddenly became as bright as day, and the top of Fengtai mountain was completely white. All the ugliness is gone. The stewards and manager Lin who were captured alive were restrained and tied into a pile. They were paralyzed with fear, and their feces and urine were flowing out. "Sir." Xiaopinggan walked up to Lin Yi with a calm expression and handed the 2 rosters to Lin Yi. "This is what I found in a secret room here." "What is this?" Ji Yi asked. "One of the lists is a list of rich and senior officials from the great merchants who have eaten here and enjoyed the immortal blood essence provided here. There are 1,453 people in total. There is also a list of people who have been caught and killed here over the years. The number of children and the accounts of the funds and currencies provided by the rich and senior officials here, including the children who are still alive at this moment. There are a total of 26,877 victims." Xiaopinggan's voice was so loud that it reached the entire Fengtai mountain. From the top of the mountain, everyone present could hear it. After hearing Xiaopinggan's words, everyone present was a little commotion. The 2 figures Xiaopinggan said were so astonishing. On one side were the 1,453 high-ranking officials and wealthy businessmen in Shangjing City, and on the other side were the piles of bones and blood debts of 26,877 children. This is recorded in black and white, even if you want to falsify it. Xiaopinggan's words continued to resound on the top of the mountain. "Prince Jing, turns out to be Prince Jing?" The crowd of people watching suddenly became a little uproar, but the uproar and commotion quickly calmed down, because everyone knew the weight represented by the word Prince Jing. All the financial account transactions recorded here were finally transferred to the trading firm controlled by Prince Jing's steward and Princess Jing's eldest brother. Steward Lin here was also sent by Prince Jing and directly obeyed Prince Jing's orders. Xiaopinggan said as if he didn't realize the weird atmosphere around him and the meaning of the name Prince Jing. He still reported to Ji loudly. When Xiaopinggan just said loudly that the list involved 1,453 high-ranking officials and wealthy people in the Great Shang Kingdom, Lin Yi looked at Xiaopinggan, his eyes were extremely sharp, with strong oppression, and he shot towards him like an arrow. Because Ji had already noticed Xiaopinggan's intentions, he didn't expect that Xiaopinggan would have such courage. In front of a large public, he would reveal everything without worrying about the consequences. When Xiaopinggan spoke loudly about Prince Jing, Ji's eyes trembled slightly, and he was instantly frightened. However, Xiaopinggan's eyes remained calm and firm, and his voice was loud without any hesitation, as if he was talking about a cat, a dog, or a dog. Common name. Granny Yu, Master Mao Mao, as well as the scholars and many people in the Iron Shao camp all looked at Xiaopinggan. Their eyes were a little strange, and some suddenly felt admiration. Everyone knows what the consequences will be if Prince Jing is exposed here. In this case, if Prince Jing does not die, Xiaopinggan will die. Who is King Jing? Is this something a small inspector can compare to? The officer of the garrison who led the team here turned green. He wanted to slap himself a few times. He just came to join in the fun. At this time, it was neither possible to leave nor to stay. Xiaopinggan looked at Ji calmly. Lin Yi's gaze gradually calmed down from the sharpness at the beginning, and in the end, it had moved away from Xiaopinggan's face. Anything else discovered? Ji's voice was calm. Well, there is another discovery, Xiaopinggan said, and with a wave of his hand, he asked a few slave soldiers to move a few tables in front of him. He simply took out the jade cone and wrote a flash in the void. The divine writing with the word Han glowing with golden light fell on a table. In an instant, the divine writing with the word Han fell on a table, and the table glowed with brilliance. In the brilliance, 3 figures appeared around the table, drinking blood-red things and chatting around the table. This scene was exactly what Xiaopinggan saw through the God of Fortune that day. Everyone in Hongyi Villa was watching everything recorded on that table as if they were watching a movie. Your Majesty, this special budget plan has caused you to worry. His Highness Prince Jing has already made a commitment to the Black Cloud Fleet and the 11th Army. You will not embarrass His Highness Prince Jing. This is a bit difficult. What if Mr. Wu disagrees? If Mr. Wu makes a fuss, will it be difficult for the prince to explain it? Sir, please rest assured that Prince Jing has returned. As for Mr. Wu, Prince Jing will personally to solve it. Your Majesty just agrees. As long as Your Majesty signs it, Lord Wu will not interfere. This matter will become a fait accompli. Your Majesty will not interfere in this kind of thing. The prince has nothing to say. Your Majesty, please leave. I forgot which side I was on. Then, okay. This, Mr. Lin, I've been feeling a little low on energy recently, and I'm a bit older. This is done, your lord's supply of immortal blood essence will be doubled next year. Mr. Song, the police want you to be more careful. The police in Dashang State are investigating too closely, and the supply of immortal blood essence here is not so smooth. Recently, several of our people have gone out to do business. I was arrested by the police from various places, so I am in some trouble. Mr. Lin can tell you that if those who go to do things in the future are caught by the police, they will pretend that they are mentally ill and have abnormal brains. I will give an order to the police everywhere. If they encounter a mentally ill person who commits a crime, like those who rob and abduct children, should release the patients as soon as possible. We should be tolerant to the mentally ill and do not pursue them. The children are fine anyway. The most important thing is to send the patients to the hospital as soon as possible or let the patients' families come to claim them. The police in various places, who want to imprison them. Mental patients, I can cause trouble for them. When the light, shadow, and sound on the table disappeared, everyone suddenly came to their senses from the dirty and shocking transaction, and the crowd became a little commotion again. Reappearing the divine text. Reappearing the divine text. Xiaoping'an actually mastered the divine text of time. Some people around him exclaimed. That's the secret skill of the generation of gods who captured Lian Wenjie. I originally thought that after Lian Wenjie, no one in the world would be able to master the recreation of the divine inscriptions. I didn't expect that there would be anyone who could master this kind of divine inscriptions. If there were still some doubts before, now, after seeing the latest evidence, everyone is completely convinced that this is the sound and image scene displayed by the reappearance of divine texts, and it cannot be fake. Xiaoping'an didn't know what reappearance of the divine inscriptions was, nor did he know who the generation god catcher Lian Wenjie was, but it seemed that the people around him were surprised by his trace character divine inscriptions. Knowing that it is a mark, and then calling it reappearing the divine text is actually not wrong. Ji Yi looked at Xiaoping'an and sighed in his heart. Xiaoping'an was going to drive the nails into Prince Jing's coffin. As the commander of the Judgment Army, if Lin Yi still doesn't understand that he has been tricked and used as a knife by Xiaoping'an, it would be an insult to his intelligence. But even if he knew it in his heart, he couldn't say it because this operation is aimed at the Dream Demon and Blood Demon cult, not against Prince Jing. There is an essential difference. He must firmly bite this point to death. If he does not bite this point to death, he will involve himself in it. In the coming storm. Have you found any traces of the Dream Demon and the Blood Demon cult? Ji Yi stared at Xiaoping'an and asked loudly. There is an underground secret passage here. When we arrived, the Dream Demon had already escaped through the underground secret passage. I just chased into the secret passage and found the devil's eyes of the Blood Demon sex sacrifice in the secret passage. He should also be a participant behind Hongyi Villa. Only people from the Blood Demon sect can do such a heartless thing. The secret passage here is real, but the dream monster is fake. The devil's eyes made of corpses in the secret passage were displayed after Xiaoping'an killed two garbage just now. It has been burned to dregs. It doesn't matter whether it is true or not. The important thing is that only by doing this can we give an explanation to the Judgment Army and Ji Yi, and at the same time put a shit basin on King Jing's head that he will never be able to turn over. This is Xiaoping'an's frame up, and the person being framed cannot refute it, and Xiaoping'an has no psychological burden. As the emperor, if Bai Tangzhao does not kill Prince Jing, does not kill the ministers and wealthy people involved in the case, and if he still protects his son, then what Bai Tangzhao will lose is the hearts and minds of the entire Great Shang Kingdom. Bai Tangzhao and Da Chain Kingdom will also become the object of ridicule and contempt by the people in the world. In tonight's operation in Fengtai Mountain, the final army to be conquered is actually Bai Tangzhao Baitang Wang Chuan, the emperor of the Great Shang Kingdom, and Kaoko's father, who is also Prince Jing's father. Bai Tangzhao, the supreme man in the Great Shang Kingdom, was the last knife that Xiaoping'an wanted to borrow. However, by doing this, he offended so many people at once, and forced the emperor to kill his own son. The Great Shang Kingdom could not stay any longer. Lin Yi glanced at Xiaoping'an, took a deep breath, and then looked at the officer who rushed up to the adjudication army with his people. Sir Hu, there are too many children here. Our adjudication army has limited hands. Please ask Mr. Hu to let Feng. The soldiers from the military camp at the foot of Taishan came out and sent these children to the hospital in Shangjing for treatment and diagnosis. What did Mr. Hu think? That Mr. Hu was smiling uglier than crying. At this time, if he dared to say that he would not give it away, wouldn't that mean he was standing with Prince Jing and going against His Royal Highness the Crown Prince? If he gives it away, then the garrison will have a hand in what happened tonight. This means that he is siding with the Crown Prince, which will also offend Prince Jing severely. If Prince Jing is fine, then he is the one who is in trouble. What, is Mr. Hu in trouble? Lin Yi asked gently, and pulled Mr. Hu into the pit without saying a word. The matter in Fengtai Mountain tonight is too big. It is not good for the adjudication army to stand in front. It would be better to bring the garrison here, Lin Yi thought to himself. Master Hu glanced at the children who were locked in the iron cages. He was so hard-hearted that he trembled in his heart. He thought of the two boys in his own family. Finally, he felt a sudden change in his heart and rolled up his sleeves. Mom, me yes, send a signal and ask the brothers below to come up and take these children to the hospital. Let me take good care of them in the hospital. When the men from the garrison arrived and rescued the children in the cages one by one and sent them away, the entire Red Leaf Villa was sealed off by the Judgment Army. There are many things and evidence in this villa. They are all key things and must be sealed off, and people must be sent to watch them. As soon as the outsiders left, Ji Yi's expression hardened, and he directly relieved Xiaoping'an from command, and the 4 shadow guards and the Iron Hand Battalion returned to their respective positions. Inspector Xia is young and promising. He can make a difference in the capital city in a blink of an eye. Let's take care of ourselves in the future. After looking at Xiaoping'an, Ji Yi took some evidence and left, hurriedly heading towards the imperial city. Before leaving, he told Xiaoping'an this sentence. This old man has probably connected tonight's incident with the Crown Prince, and thinks that the Crown Prince Baitang Wangchuan is behind his back. Yes, regarding this matter tonight, even if he takes 10,000 steps back, even if Prince Jing does not die, there is no way he will compete with Baitang Wangchuan for the position of Great Treasure. Baitang Wangchuan did not participate in tonight's incident, but Baitang Wangchuan was indeed the biggest gainer tonight. Xiaoping'an's expression remained unchanged and there was no explanation. When Granny Yu, Master Mao Mao, Scholar and others left, they all took a deep look at Xiaoping'an. No one said anything. They also felt that something was wrong, but they didn't say anything. Anyway, what happened tonight was the Judgment Army. The Shadow Guards chased the Blood Demon cult and the Dream Demon here to get it, and they just took care of the rest. This is the tone set by Mr. Lin Yi. Besides, all that rubbish deserves to die. Boy, you have the guts. There was a chill in his ears. The demon sword did not show up, but Xiaoping'an felt that the demon sword said these words in his ear and then left. Finally, Xiaoping'an left Hongyi Villa alone. Under the starry sky, walking down the mountain, watching the soldiers of the garrison at the foot of the mountain delivering the children to the upper capital in batches, Xiaoping'an felt an indescribable sense of relief in his heart. That's all I can do, kids. The God of Fortune boy sat on Xiaoping'an's shoulders, dangling his white and fat calves, looking very happy. Xiaoping'an looked at the brightly lit Shangjing city in the distance, then looked at the time, and murmured something that no one could understand. The Shangjing Daily should be printed by this time. Yes, the Shangjing Daily that will be read by the people in Shangjing early tomorrow morning has been printed. In a printing factory somewhere in Shangjing City, bundles of printed Shangjing Daily are being customarily loaded onto carriages and sent to various distribution points in Shangjing City before dawn. No one noticed that the news and layout on the third page of the Shangjing Daily were no longer the original news and layout, but had quietly changed to an astonishing title and content. Baitang Zhao, I am very disappointed in you. A big chapter of 5,000 words is presented. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 335. In the imperial study room of the imperial palace of the Great Shang Kingdom, the Emperor Baitang Zhao of the Great Shang Kingdom looked at the Shangjing Daily placed on his desk and laughed angrily. Ha ha ha, it's interesting, it's interesting. A dream demon from the Blood Demon sect actually issued a challenge to me in the Shangjing Daily, mocking me for my inability to govern the country and my family, and even made it known to everyone in the capital. Very good. Baitang Zhao was smiling, but the wrinkles between his eyes and brows seemed to be flowing with ice, and the aura on his body gradually became violent. The few people standing in the royal study room were silent and did not say a word. Lin Yi, the leader of the Judgment Army. The garrison commander Long Chaeyun. Imperial City Guard Commander Fang Kakayu. The three big figures who control the most powerful force in Shangjing City are standing here. At this moment, the sky was just getting bright. After the tranquility and disturbance in the middle of the night, Shangjing City started a vibrant day again. The three commanders in the Imperial Study Room had been summoned to the Imperial Study Room by Baitang Zhao since the incident at Fengtai Mountain broke out early last night. The newspaper had just been delivered quietly by a chamberlain. After reading the contents of the newspaper, the atmosphere in the study seemed to be on fire. Lin Yi knew that although Baitang Zhao was smiling at the moment, his murderous intent could no longer be suppressed. He had just glanced at the contents of the newspaper, and his heart was frightened, but he felt relieved all of a sudden, and his mood was a little bit, somewhat complicated. Did he blame Xiaoping'an wrongly? Is the incident at Hongyi Villa really a mistake? The Judgment Army has also made great achievements. Ji Yi's heart was filled with thoughts that others didn't know about, but his face remained calm, and he looked slightly guilty. The action of the Adjudication Army last night allowed the Dream Demon to escape. The Adjudication Army failed to suppress the demon. Please atone for your sins. Ji Yi took the initiative to admit his mistake. The content in this newspaper is so bold that it dares to slander and provoke His Majesty. I will arrange a thorough investigation and confiscation of these newspapers. Thorough investigation? What is there to investigate thoroughly? Baitang Zhao glanced at the newspaper, smiled coldly, put his hands behind his back, and looked like an arrogant emperor. From the printing house of Shangjing Daily, no matter how brave the worker reviewers are, they would not dare to publish such content in newspapers. They are just a few puppets controlled by the Dream Demon, and they are also victims. The one who took action is the Dream Demon. These newspapers are now on sale throughout the city. I don't know how many people have seen this content. Confiscate it? Is it just to let the Dream Demon see my joke, think that I have never seen this kind of storm? What does your Majesty mean? Ji Yi asked. The Adjudication Army has done its duty with all its merits and demerits. If it hadn't been for the actions of the Adjudication Army last night, I wouldn't have known that the capital city was so filthy. I didn't know that there were so many people in this city who were worse than pigs and dogs who dared to collude with the blood demon. Teaching, just like what this Dream Demon mocked in the newspaper. If this continues, when the state of this great merchant country changes its color, I will only realize later that it will truly make the world laugh. Baitang Zhao, his brows were knitted into a frown, and murderous intent penetrated the canopy. He looked at Fang Kakayu, the commander of the Imperial City Guard, and his voice deepened. Fang Kakayu, I leave this roster to you. Baitang Zhao directly handed over the roster that Lin Yi brought from Hongyi Villa to the commander of the Imperial City Guard. There are 1,453 people on this roster, and most of them are in Shangjing City. Some of them are in other provinces. Go and bring me the heads of all the people on the list. At the same time, all the properties of these people will be seized. Their descendants will not be allowed to be officials within 7 generations. Those who have held official positions within the 3 tribes will all be removed. Anyone who dares to obstruct the protector will be killed without mercy, no matter who is involved. I want to see how many of these beasts, who are inferior to pigs and dogs, can have their heads chopped off. Each of these beasts wants to live forever by eating people, so I will fight with them. They bet whether their necks are tough or my swords are sharp. There was a cold murderous aura between Baitang Zhao's teeth, which was suffocating. According to the order, Fang Kakayu took a deep breath, took the roster with both hands, and immediately took a step back. The roster, now in his hand, weighed more than 1,000 pounds. The clean roster was like a sponge soaked in blood, dripping with blood. Baitang Zhao said a word. I don't know how many people will be killed, how many families will be knocked down from the mortal world. This is the anger of the emperor. The blood will flow everywhere, and the entire Shangjing city and the great Shang kingdom will be shaken. When the people on this list were eating people, when they thought they could stay young and enjoy wealth forever, Did they ever think that today would happen? Long Che-yun, Baitang Zhao continued to order. I'm here, the commander of the garrison stepped forward. Baitang Zhao stared at the commander of the garrison with sharp eyes. The garrison has entered the first level of combat readiness and is ready to deal with emergencies in the capital at any time. Anyone who dares to jump out will be killed without mercy. According to the order. Jin Yi. I'm here. The network of kidnapping and trafficking of children spreads all over the Great Shang Kingdom. The participants are not just the few people in Shangjing City. This matter will be handed over to the adjudication army. The evil must be eradicated. None of the people involved behind the scenes can be let go. All the people involved in the Great Shang Kingdom will be handed over to them. An explanation. Yes. Okay, you go down. Baitang Zhao waved his hand gently. The three giants in the capital looked at each other and without saying anything else, they each took orders and exited the study. Your Majesty didn't mention Prince Jing just now? The three of them were all thinking this, but no one said it out loud. It was only when they walked to the garden outside the study that the three heard Baitang Zhao giving an order to the attendants in the study, let the Crown Prince come to the study. Crown Prince? Do you want the Prince to deal with Prince Jing? Still, I need to give an explanation to His Highness the Crown Prince. No matter what, after today, there is no suspense about the future leader of this great merchant country. What? The action at Hongyi Villa last night was commanded by Xiaoping'an, in the East Palace. Baitang Wangchuan, who had just received the exact news, was shocked. He had already known that something happened at Hongyi Villa before, but he did not expect that the person who commanded the shadow guards. It's so strange that it's an inspector like Xiaoping'an. Your Highness, news within the Judgment Army has confirmed that it was Xiaoping'an who led the shadow guards to clear out Hongyi Villa last night and find the two rosters. I heard that Lord Lin authorized Xiaoping'an to temporarily command the elite shadow guards to hunt down Meng. Devil, I didn't expect Xiaoping'an to take people to sweep Hongyi Villa. Chasing the dream demon, Baitang Wangchuan's face showed a look of contemplation, as if he understood something. Okay, I understand, you go down. Yes. Baitang Wangchuan stood up and walked around the study, his expression constantly changing, seeming to be surprised, but also showing a hint of hidden joy. King Jing is finished. Even if Prince Jing survives this time, he will probably be thrown into death row by his father and imprisoned for the rest of his life. Xiaoping'an's actions at Hongyi Villa last night directly cut off Prince Jing's path, and also wiped out the gangsters that Prince Jing secretly developed and won over. Kong, that action was so beautiful, like a knife cutting into King Jing's 7 inches. From today on, his position in the Great Shang Kingdom is as stable as a rock, and no one can shake it anymore. Is Xiaoping'an repaying his kindness? It's just that he didn't inform himself before. Well, it's better not to inform him. If he did, it would be a bad thing. This kindness is so repaid. For a moment, Baitang Wangchuan was surprised and delighted. He walked around in the study, thinking about the changes in the DPRK and wondering how to thank Xiaoping'an. At this moment, the beaded curtain in the study room rolled up, and the elegant princess walked into the study room. Congratulations, Your Highness. Baitang Wangchuan looked at his beloved concubine and smiled slightly. I didn't expect that Xiaoping'an could do such a big thing quietly this time. Prince Jing is really formidable. If nothing happened at Hongyi Villa, His Highness would not even know how terrifying he is. Then Prince Jing would have used such methods to control so many party members in Shangjing City without knowing it. Father once said that ordinary people are easier to control as officials than summoners. However, the desires of ordinary people are no less than those of summoners. Once they are in power, they have power and wealth, and in order to pursue immortality, to be able to enjoy power and wealth forever, and to use all possible means, including cannibalism, even worse than animals. Baitang Wangchuan sighed. Prince Jing's followers and Prince Jing, I'm afraid they won't be able to pass this test. The crown princess shook her head gently. Baitang Wangchuan frowned slightly and sighed. Prince Jing has always been liked by his father. I'm afraid my father is also hesitant about this matter. Moreover, Prince Jing's gang members involve too many ministers and rich people. I'm afraid. At this point, Baitang Wangchuan smiled bitterly, spread his hands, and said helplessly, ruthlessness is the most important thing for an emperor. Sometimes, I really wish I was an ordinary person and didn't have to fight with my brothers and relatives every day. Plot against each other. Your Majesty will not be able to answer to the great Shang kingdom if he does not kill them this time. People in the capital are already excited. This matter can no longer be concealed. Ah, the crowd is excited? What happened? Baitang Wangchuan was slightly startled. The crown princess took out the newspaper and placed it in front of Baitang Wangchuan. I heard that the dream demon controlled the people in the printing house of Shangjing Daily and then printed this. Now it has spread throughout Shangjing City. No, families with missing children in the capital have all rushed to hospitals and government offices, and some have gone to Hongyi Villa to look for. Baitang Wangchuan looked at the contents of the newspaper and was instantly shocked. Baitang Zhao, I am very disappointed in you. Baitang Zhao, don't think you can win back the victory at Hongyi Villa. This time it was just my blood demon cult's carelessness. Your son Baitang Wangshan and the 1,453 rich ministers and rich men he snagged have been cannibalizing people at Hongyi Villa for so many years. Treating hundreds of millions of people in the Great Shang Kingdom as pigs and dogs, and tens of thousands of children dying in Hongyi Villa, this sacrifice is no worse than our demon eyes sacrifice. They almost join the blood demon section. My blood demon sect controls the Great Shang Kingdom and changes the color of the Great Shang Kingdom. It doesn't take much effort. Your son almost joined the blood demon section. The Great Shang Kingdom, the emperor is nothing more than this, and he was almost played by us, ha ha ha. Baitang Zhao, you are lucky this time, but you cannot be so lucky forever. I will come back. Dream Demon. Baitang Wangchuan was dumbfounded when he saw this article that appeared in the Shangjing Daily and was written to his father Huang Baitang Zhao by name. Someone who can control others to publish such articles in newspapers is indeed a dream demon, but Baitang Wangchuan did not expect that the blood demon sect was actually involved behind Hongyi Villa, and that Prince Jing was willing to risk the world. Damn it, working with the blood demon cult is really terrifying. Once Prince Jing ascends the throne, wouldn't the state of the Great Shang Kingdom change its color? Wouldn't the blood demon sect easily take over the Great Shang Kingdom? Thinking of that result, Baitang Wangchuan shuddered. The Great Shang Kingdom defended the blood demon sect day and night. Unexpectedly, someone in the royal family had a problem. This was the blood demon sect's method of taking out the heart. When the dream demon and the blood demon sect saw the failure of Hongyi Villa, they directly revealed the matter and treated Prince Jing and those people as abandoned sons. Their purpose was to bring civil strife between Shangjing City and Daqing. If your Majesty does not deal with it decisively, if these people give an explanation to the Great Shang Kingdom, the consequences will be endless, and your Majesty will surely be ridiculed and scolded by the people in the world, the Crown Princess said softly. The Dream Demon and Blood Demon cult are very ruthless. Baitang Wangchuan said with palpitations. The really ruthless one is Prince Jing. In order to compete for the position of the Great Treasure, he has done everything possible. Even the Blood Demon sect can take refuge. Being able to get rid of Prince Jing this time is also a blessing for the Great Shang Kingdom. At this moment, a palace servant hurriedly came to the East Palace and said that His Majesty summoned the Crown Prince. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 336. To the east of Shangjing City is the vast sea. On that vast sea, more than 800 miles away from Shangjing City, is the Sea Demon Gate of Shangjing City. To be precise, the Demon Gate is not a door, but the entrance to the secret realm of the void. Seen from a distance, the magic gate looks like a rotating colorful vortex in the sky. It is a huge portal with a diameter of more than 10 miles. Like the eye of a storm, colorful brilliance is constantly blooming from the vortex. It's extremely beautiful. Behind the magic door is another world. The rising sun is like a huge fireball rising on the sea, dyeing the sea water in the east red, as if there is a fire burning under the sea. The sea water and the rotating magic gate in the sky complement each other. Here, on the vast and boundless sea, with the rising tide, the colors of water and sky complement each other and merge into one, which is magnificent. If it weren't for the monsters that kept emerging from the magic gate, the scenery in front of us would be like a dream. In the light of the magic door's rotation, you can see some black spots flying down from the magic door from time to time. Then, above the sea, you can hear the roar of cannons, and in the sky, you can also see the flash of the summoner's spell flying in the sky. The smoke of gunpowder and the light of magic coexist here. The fleet on the sea is like a giant steel beast guarding the sea near the magic gate. In the sky, the summoners who have the ability to fly into the sky are like hunters hunting. Below the magic gate is a string of island groups, and on the large and small islands are various large and small fortresses. This is the battlefield for the fleets of the Great Shang Kingdom, summoners and bounty hunters. The monsters in the secret realm of the void that fell from the magic gate are the targets of their battles and hunting. There are boundary beads on those monsters, and some of the things on those monsters are expensive medicinal materials. There is a lot to be gained from such a battle, and you may be able to make a fortune. Of course, there are also dangers. There are also some powerful summoners above the Four Sun realm who even form teams and actively enter the world behind the demon gate to hunt. Flame birds and six-legged monitor lizards are the most common monsters coming out of this magical gate on the sea. For the fleet of the Great Shang Kingdom and the summoner stationed at the demon gate on the sea, these two monsters are not difficult to deal with, especially the six-legged monitor lizard. This kind of monster is terrestrial. Once it reaches the sea, it is actually not difficult to deal with it. The strength is also greatly limited, and it is not as comfortable as on land, and the flame bird is most afraid of water. To avoid the attack of the flame bird, just plunge into the sea. At this moment, at the highest point of the God of War castle on the largest island under the magic gate, Prince Jinggai was standing on the tower at the highest point of the fortress. Prince Jingbai Wangshan, with his hands behind his back, looked at the magnificent sunrise and the scenery reflected by the rotating magic door is dazed, and the eyes seem to be nostalgic, regretful and unwilling to give up, mixed with anger and burning ambition. Even the most outstanding court painter could not fully express the complex look in Prince Jing's eyes at this moment. I'm really unwilling to lose so inexplicably. Prince Jing often exhaled, moved his neck slightly, and then stretched out his hand to tear off a necklace hanging around his neck. He took the necklace and the pendant in his hand, looked at it, shook his head, and threw the thing out from the top of his building with a flick of his hand, and fell into the sea below. If there are summoners from the Judgment Army here, they will definitely be able to see that the thing thrown out by King Jing, the pendant, looks like a piece of golden amber. There is a small human figure sealed in the amber. It looked extremely strange and cold. When he was thrown out by Prince Jing, the small human figure sealed in the amber had turned into a skinny skeleton. This is the human talisman, the blood demon cult's most terrifying method of sacrificing the summoner. This is to make the summoner into a human talisman and wear it on the body to absorb the chi, blood, essence, blood, and divine power of the human talisman. The human talisman thrown out by Prince Jing has been completely sucked dry and has lost its value. A cloud of black smoke appeared silently next to Prince Jing. In the black smoke, a bewitchingly beautiful hand stretched out. In that hand, he held a brand new refined human talisman and handed it to him. After seeing Prince Jing, a sexy and coquettish female voice came out from the smoke. "Your Highness, this is the last one. I'm afraid it will be a little difficult for us to meet again in the future." Prince Jing took the personal talisman and put it around his neck again. Then he squinted his eyes and asked with murderous intent, "Is there something wrong with the Golden Moon Palace? How did the Dream Demon know that I and the Blood Demon sect were together, relationship, and it was revealed in this way? The Jinyu Palace does not know about our actions. It is also a secret within us. Only the Palace Master and I know that according to the internal rules of the Blood Demon sect, Jinyu continent is the territory of the Jinyu Palace, and other demon palaces cannot set foot." The voice in the smoke hesitated for a moment. "It's possible that Jinyu Palace discovered something, and then used this method to warn us and ruined our plan." Warning, Prince Jing suddenly became angry and roared, "Then what should I do now? All of a sudden I lose everything, let me give them my head. His Highness should have known the risks and consequences when he cooperated with us. This accident has nothing to do with us. It is an internal problem in Das Hang State. It is possible that there is a problem in His Highness's Hongyi Villa and someone noticed it. That's why the situation at this moment has nothing to do with us." The voice in the smoke said, and it gradually became smaller, and the smoke also faded little by little, and slowly retreated. "It can't be done anymore, those people it's coming, Your Highness, please make plans early, as long as you live, anything is possible." A gust of sea breeze blew, and the smoke disappeared, as if it had never appeared. Prince Jing stood blankly for a while, and finally let out a long sigh, turned his head and glanced in the direction of the capital city, stamped his feet fiercely, and suddenly rose into the air. His body was like lightning, flying directly towards the demon gate. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the whirlpool of the magic gate. Less than a few minutes after King Jing left, two powerful auras, as fast as lightning, flew towards the God of War castle from the direction of Shangjing City. They were enshrined by two royal families of the Great Shang Kingdom and summoners from the Eight Yang realm. An imperial edict to arrest King Jing. King Jing had fled, and the two offerings were all in vain. From Prince Jing of the Great Shang Kingdom to a fugitive wanted by the Great Shang Kingdom, this change of identity only happened in a blink of an eye. On the way to the capital, at the same time, Xiaoping'an rode a carriage and got off at the door of the Donggang Inspectorate. There used to be a newsstand at the corner of the street diagonally across from the gate of the Donggang Inspectorate. At this moment, the Shangjing Daily in the newsstand had been sold out, but there were still people gathered around the newsstand and asking questions. Today's Shangjing Daily has created the fastest sell-out record in history. Within a few hours after the newspaper was released, it has been sold out by the people in Shangjing City. Now it can't even be bought at a higher price. In the past, Shangjing Daily was sold from dawn to dusk, but it was not necessarily completely sold out. Xiaoping'an held one copy in his hand. Everything went as Xiaoping'an expected, perfect. "But, I have to leave too." "Sir, morning." Luo Laojiao saw Xiaoping'an walking into the gate of the supervision office, and quickly came out of the concierge with his dog to question Xiaoping'an. "Good morning, thank you for your hard work," Xiaoping'an greeted Luo Laojiao with a smile, and Luo Laojiao was flattered. "It's strange, why didn't the little black pig and the iron-masked man next to you come with you today?" Luo Laojiao muttered in his heart, and when he saw Xiaoping'an walking towards the building of the inspectorate, he also returned to his concierge. There is a large open space between the gate of the inspection office and the building of the inspection office. There is a lawn in this open space, some ornamental trees are planted, and there is a fountain. Every time Xiaoping'an comes to the inspection office, he has to start from after passing through this lawn and fountain. You can reach the stairs into the inspectorate building. Just when Xiaoping'an walked to the middle of the lawn and was close to the fountain, a black shadow suddenly emerged from the ground and rushed towards Xiaoping'an. The black shadow shouted in all directions, "Xiaoping'an, you die." Xiaoping'an looked shocked and took out the ruling scepter. However, his reaction seemed to be slow for a moment, and he was already rushed to his side by the black figure. The next second, 4 violent high-temperature fire snakes were released from the black figure, covering the entire garden in the fire snakes, and then a huge black air enveloped Xiaoping'an. Xiaoping'an's best 2 storm cavalry were summoned, and half of their figures emerged from the black mist, but they were immediately swallowed by the black mist. From the black air came the sound of the summoner fighting, Xiaoping'an's roar, and the trace of the burning sky Suzaku. Then, an earth-shaking explosion exploded in the garden. All of this happens in an instant. The windows of Luo Laojio's concierge, the windows on the nearby street, and all the windows of the inspectorate building, as well as some buildings near the garden, were all affected by the fire and shock wave of the explosion, and they were all shattered at once. Soaring. The whole neighborhood and the entire inspectorate were alarmed. By the time Long Chao and the others rushed out of the inspection office, Xiaoping'an was no longer at the scene. There was only a large pit melted by the terrifying high temperature and the charred lawn and trees left in the garden, which were completely shattered. A fountain with a drop of water. Around the big pit, there was a damaged scepter of judgment, and around the scepter, there were some scattered black gravel, which seemed to be the remaining body fragments of a person who had been poisoned by the black evil. Sir. Huazikan rushed to the damaged scepter, picked up the scepter, and burst into tears. Long Chao's eyes were red and he roared out of the inspection office. The entire Donggang inspection office was in chaos. Even Wei Mi ran out of the inspection office. Looking at the big pit and the ruling scepter, she burst into tears. Not long after, the news that Donggang Inspector Xiaoping'an was assassinated in the inspection office spread throughout Shangjing. Golden Summoner. Author, Zyu. Chapter 337. In a room on the first floor of a hotel more than 1,000 meters away from the Donggang Inspectorate, Yan 11 and Xiaoping'an emerged from the ground without any sound. Your Earth escape speed is a bit slow. The last time Ji took me Earth escape, it seemed to be much faster than yours. Xiaoping'an patted the dust on his body and was ready to change clothes. The scene just performed in the courtyard of the inspectorate had great sound and light effects, but his clothes had been burned a little and he had to change into a new one. Fortunately, he was originally here to change his outfit. Yan 11, who had been working hard for a while, glanced at Xiaoping'an speechlessly, and said to himself, "Can Lin Yi and I compare? Why don't you compare me with Bai Tangzhao?" Although he was muttering in his heart, Yan 11's words were, "Can you give me another hour?" Xiaoping'an glanced at Yan 11, "What are you going to do in 1 hour? It's a bit of a personal grudge. If we don't resolve this matter, I won't be able to sleep in the future. You want to kill someone? Don't kill anyone," Yan 11 said quickly. "Okay, you go ahead, I'll give you another hour." Yangzi breathed out a long breath, "I will be back soon." After saying this, the next second, Yangzi turned into a black smoke, suddenly got into the ground, and disappeared instantly. Xiaoping'an was the only one left in the room. Xiaoping'an quickly took off all his clothes, then in front of the mirror in the room, he cut his hair. After cutting his hair, he took a shower in the room. And took out a brand new set of clothes from the space warehouse to put on the Ruyi mask, and after a while, standing in front of the mirror in the room, Xiaoping'an could hardly recognize himself. In front of the mirror is a man in his 30s with short hair, clean-shaven chin and lips, revealing a light green complexion. The man's face is a little thin, and his eyes are a little small, but he looks very handsome. Spirit, wearing a decent but inconspicuous gray coat and black trousers. Under the coat, he wore a light blue linen shirt and a vest. A length of silver chain of a pocket watch was exposed from the vest. He was gentle and harmless. "Another pair of glasses will be more like," Xiaoping'an said, and with a move of his hand, he took out a pair of slightly old-fashioned tortoise-shell glasses from the space warehouse. Once these glasses were put on, they looked more interesting. With another move of his hand, a semi-old brown suitcase appeared next to him. Xiaopingyan took the suitcase and looked at himself in the mirror. He couldn't find anything wrong with it. The Ruyi mask will be seen through by Baitang Wangchuan, but there is only one Baitang Wangchuan in the entire Shangjing city. There will never be many people with the same ability. The probability of ordinary people meeting someone like Baitang Wangchuan is about the same as in Zhong, same as lottery. After doing this, Xiaopingyan looked at the time. Yan 11 was almost coming back. If he didn't come back, he would turn into a pig when his human time was up. Director Li Xiaoming of Jinming District came out of the toilet humming a tune. On the way, he touched the butt of a beautiful policewoman in the station. Amid the coquettishness of the policewoman, he laughed and came to his office. Door. As soon as he opened the door of his office, Li Xiaoming felt his eyes go dark. A linen bag suddenly covered him from head to toe. Li Xiaoming was shocked. Just as he was about to call out, he found that his mouth and body suddenly went numb, and he didn't even speak. It can't be done anymore. Killer. Assassin. Who have you offended? The other party actually has the ability to send killers and assassins into his office to kill. At this moment, Li Xiaoming was thinking about death. Cold sweat broke out all over his body, and his body and mind were trembling. The next second, Li Xiaoming heard the door of his office being closed. The assassin and killer even closed the door at the same pace as they normally did. There was no chaos, no impatience, and the sound was neither loud nor quiet. Everything was normal. Li Xiaoming was frightened. He was a veteran. Just when Director Li didn't know what he was going to face next, he suddenly felt severe pain in his right calf, and the sound of the bones in his calf breaking was heard directly in his ears. Li Xiaoming fell to the ground all of a sudden. Li Xiaoming, who fell to the ground in pain, was about to shed tears, but he couldn't scream. He only heard the assassin scolding himself. He was completely confused, but the next second, his left calf clicked. With a bang, the left calf was also broken. Damn it, I told you to kick, I told you to kick, I told you to kick. Yan 11 held a wooden stick in his hand, with a cold face, and directly broke both Director Li's feet, and then he kicked Director Li a few times in the stomach, causing Director Li to roll around in the sack until he fainted. This relieved his anger. The next second, Yang Zi put away the wooden stick, turned into a black smoke, and disappeared into the ground. More than 10 minutes later, Director Li's subordinates came to the office to ask for Director Li's signature. The secretary called outside the office for a long time and found that there was no sound in the office. Several police officers who felt something was wrong broke the door and entered, only to find that the office was packed in sacks. Director Li fell to the ground. Director Li was beaten by thugs in his office. Both legs were broken and he was knocked unconscious. The entire Jinyang District Police Station was in commotion, and Director Li was quickly sent to the hospital. Director Li, whose head was resting on the beautiful secretary's lap, woke up on the way to the hospital. In the speeding carriage of the police station, Director Li groaned miserably, feeling grateful to be alive, but also wanting to cry without tears. He was heartbroken. Who the hell did I mess with? I messed with everyone. I haven't kicked it before. Please slow down the carriage, it hurts. Before the hour was over, Yan 11 emerged from the ground. Is the matter done? It's done. Yan 11 nodded and mustered up the courage to make a request. Can you stop being a pig? You are about to run away. It's too conspicuous to have a pig by your side. Xiaopingyan thought about it seriously and said, you made a good request. Well, how about being a rabbit? I'm not a rabbit. Yan 11's expression changed and he shook his head resolutely. Okay, then I get it. A few minutes later, Xiaopinggan walked out of the hotel with a different look. He was carrying a semi-old brown leather suitcase in his left hand. There was a birdcage on the suitcase. In the birdcage, there was a gray and feeble bird with a depressed look on his face. Eagle Owl. Xiaopingyan called a carriage and went directly to the train station in Shangjing City. After passing the inspection, he got on a train that was about to leave Shangjing City and go to the northwest of Dashang Kingdom. Xiaopingyan is going to Yishan, the place where Lin Qing died. Woo, woo, woo. After boarding the train, not long after, the train whistle started to sound and the train started to move. Thick smoke came out from the chimney at the front of the train. The whole train slowly drove out of the station and began to accelerate gradually. Xiaopingyan looked out at Shangjing City through the car window, feeling filled with emotion. After leaving this time, he didn't know when he would be able to come back and see the faces here. Dong dong dong. Suddenly there was a gentle knock on the door outside the box. Xiaopingyan looked outside and found a pair of 8 or 9-year-old twin boys standing outside his box. These two little boys and their parents were in the box next door. They met Xiaopingyan when he got on the bus just now. These two little guys had been staring at Xiaopingyan's birdcage. He walked over and opened the door of the box. The two little boys had smart faces and curious eyes. As soon as the door of the box opened, the two little guys saw the birdcage that Xiaopingyan placed on the table of the box. Their eyes never moved away again. "Uncle, is that your pet bird?" one of the little guys asked boldly. "Well, yes," Xiaopingyan nodded. "Can we go over there and take a look?" "Okay, come in," Xiaopingyan smiled. The two little guys immediately entered the box and surrounded the caged eagle owl, commenting and admiring it. However, they did not realize that the bird in the cage was rolling its eyes with a depressed look on its face. It turned around and faced the bird with its buttocks. Two small children. "Uncle, what's the name of this bird?" "Diao owl." "What does he eat?" The two little guys were curious. "They probably eat other birds and mice and stuff like that." "Wow!" the two little guys exclaimed in surprise. "Does this bird eat bugs?" "Maybe, eat it." "Great." The two little guys suddenly became happy. One of the little guys took out a small matchbox from his trouser pocket and opened the matchbox. There were actually 2 caterpillars in the matchbox. Looking at Xiaopingyan expectantly, "Uncle, I have 2 bugs here, can I feed them?" Xiaopingyan glanced at the silly bird in the cage with its eyes widened and almost bristling, and coughed twice. "Ahem, it won't eat this kind of bug." "Then does it eat cockroaches?" "Cockroaches don't eat it either, they still like to eat things like birds and mice." "Oh, I get it." The 2 little guys stayed in the box for a while, asked a lot of questions, and left with satisfaction. However, less than half an hour later, Xiaopingyan's box door was knocked again. He opened the box door, and the 2 little guys were still standing at the door, each with excited faces. "Uncle, did we find something that the bird can eat?" "Oh, what?" A little guy mysteriously took out a paper bag from behind, and then took out a mousetrap from the paper bag. There was really a mouse on the mousetrap. The mouse was still alive and squeaking. These 2 little guys are very courageous. Where did you find it?" Xiaopingyan didn't know what to say. "In the back kitchen warehouse of the train's dining car, we went there just now and found that the conductor caught a mouse with this mousetrap. Now we can feed the eagle owl a mouse." "Well, be careful it pecks you." "It doesn't matter, we can put the mouse in the cage and watch it eat." Xiaopingyan glanced at the bird in the cage sympathetically, and said in his heart, "This is your choice." The train rolled forward, and the scenery outside the window kept changing. After leaving the city, the scenery outside the window became more and more wilderness. Occasionally, some market towns and stations appeared. Before I knew it, a whole afternoon passed, and the sky gradually darkened. Down. Because the bird in the cage never ate the mouse they brought, the twins finally left Xiaoping's box with some disappointment. When the little guy left, the birds in the cage were a little wilted and listless from the torment of the mouse. The box finally became quiet. In the sky outside, slowly, stars can be seen appearing on the horizon. Suddenly, the boy who had been having fun in the train car seemed to feel something. The boy suddenly came to the roof of the speeding train and raised his head to look at the sky. Xiaoping's heart moved, and he raised his head and looked at the sky outside the carriage. In the sky, there were dozens of summoners flying above the clouds, flying along the railway towards the capital. Half an hour later, another batch. Another hour later, the third batch of summoners flew through the sky, more than 100 of them, and they were still flying towards the upper capital with great momentum. Those three groups of summoners all covered their faces or wore masks. They didn't look like summoners from the Great Shang Kingdom at all. Instead, they looked a bit like people from the Blood Demon sect, because among those summoners wearing masks, Xiaoping found that the masks of some of them were somewhat similar to those of the 5 demons he had seen in Shangjing. Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. Why did something big happen to Shangjing City just after he left? How could there be so many summoners rushing towards Shangjing City? Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 338. The night has turned dark, and lights are brightly lit everywhere in the imperial palace of Shangjing. When walking to the entrance of Rangzhou Palace, Baitang Wangchuan hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he gritted his teeth and stepped into Rangzhou Palace. Rangzhou Palace is the residence of Cao in the palace. Baitangzhou was specially built for Cao. Among the princesses of the Great Shang Kingdom, only Cao was treated like this. I have met His Highness the Crown Prince. When the maids in Rangzhou Palace saw Baitang Wangchuan coming, they all quickly stepped aside and saluted. How is Kaoko doing now? Baitang Wangchuan asked softly. The princess has been shutting herself in her room, not eating dinner, and not allowing anyone in. The maid replied carefully. Baitang Wangchuan nodded and walked directly towards the place where Cao lived. The place where Cao lived was a large garden in Rangzhou Palace. Everywhere was exquisite. There were many small animals in the garden. Several maids were guarding outside Cao's room. When those maids saw Baitang Wangchuan arrived, he quickly saluted. Baitang Wangchuan waved his hand gently and asked the maids to go down. After the maid left, Baitang Wangchuan opened the door of the room and walked in. In the room, there was a faint sound of sobbing. Baitang Wangchuan followed the sound of sobbing and came directly to Cao's room. He saw Cao lying on the bed, hugging the pillow, his shoulders trembling slightly, crying. Go out, I won't eat. Cao also heard the footsteps. He didn't turn his head, he just choked and said. Should I go out too? Baitang Wangchuan came to the bedside and said softly. As soon as he heard Baitang Wangchuan's voice, Cao, who was lying on the bed, turned around and rushed towards Baitang Wangchuan with his teeth and claws. He raised his fist and beat Baitang Wangchuan on the chest. It's all your fault, it's all your fault. If you hadn't asked him to be the inspector, nothing would have happened to him. It's all your fault, you pay him to me. Seeing his sister's face full of tears and her eyes swollen like peaches, Baitang Wangchuan also felt a little distressed and felt a little guilty. Xiaoping may not be dead. Baitang Wangchuan said softly. This sentence is more effective than 1,000 words, but as soon as the words are spoken, the hasty crying stops immediately. Kaoko was still sobbing, but he had stopped crying. He raised his big eyes as swollen as peaches and stared at Baitang Wangchuan. What are you talking about? He's not dead. I have asked experts from the Judgment Army to inspect the scene. There is no trace of his body in the entire scene. Didn't they say that the assassin used the poison of black evil? The sobbing has stopped a little. This is also what makes me puzzled. The poison of the black evil appeared too coincidental, annihilating all traces of the corpse. Judging from the traces on the scene, the assassin should be the same person who assassinated Xiaopingan in Zhougong Tower. Think about it, with Xiaopingan's shrewdness, would he fall into the same pit twice? Moreover, Xiaopingan had been assassinated twice before at the gate of Zhougong building and the inspectorate office. The dream demon is now nowhere to be seen. Isn't he defensive at all? Cao's eyes suddenly moved, and she suddenly remembered the scene at Dehua Bridge where Xiaopingan escorted her away before danger arrived. Yes, Xiaopingan is such a shrewd and powerful person who can predict the crisis in advance. Will he fall into the same pit twice? No, 4 times. The assassin who assassinated him has assassinated him once before. Moreover, Xiaopingan had been assassinated once before at the gate of the inspectorate. Same place, same killer. Is Xiaopingan really unprepared? Seeing Cao's thoughtful look, Baitang Wangchuan breathed a sigh of relief in his heart and continued to teach his sister softly, one more thing, according to the people from the Donggang inspectorate, Xiaopingan was still with him before an iron mask bodyguard. That iron mask bodyguard is very powerful, but he was sent out by Xiaopingan yesterday. Even though he could be assassinated at any time, Xiaopingan left no bodyguard by his side. This is a bit unreasonable. Then why would he do this? Cao seemed to be convinced, or Cao would rather choose to believe in such a happy ending. Do you know about Hongyi Villa? New. The incident at Hongyi Villa was discovered by Xiaopingan and the people from the Shadow Guard. Xiaopingan dismissed his iron-faced bodyguards yesterday, and led his people to take down Hongyi Villa last night. He exposed the incident at Hongyi Villa. The number 1 hero who came out. Cao looked at Baitang Wangchuan in shock. She really didn't know about this. Baitang Wangchuan continued, now everyone in the capital is saying that Inspector Xia and his people rescued those children from the Devil's Cave, and this news first came from those who participated in the Hongyi Villa incident. What leaked out from the Judgment Army and the Garrison Corps, you know, the Hongyi Villa incident is too involved, and the father wants to kill many people. That night at Hongyi Villa, it was Xiaopingan who disclosed the key evidence in front of the Judgment Army and the Garrison Corps. After forcing Lin Yi to go to the palace in public, and after doing these things, he was assassinated early the next morning at the gate of the supervision office. Don't you think there are too many coincidences? Cao was already very smart. After Baitang Wangchuan reminded her, Cao also felt that there were a lot of doubts in this, and some of them were not like Xiaopingan's style. Then why is he doing this? The incident at Hongyi Villa is too involved. He did something like this to force Lin Yi into the palace. He has already made countless enemies in the officialdom of Shangjing City. I don't know how many people want to kill him. Do you think he can continue in Shangjing City? Do you want to stay? If it were me, I wouldn't choose to stay in Shangjing. But, why did he? Cao, there's one more thing I didn't tell you. Xiaopingan is a sky traveler and has his own mission. Moreover, he is being hunted by the blood demon cult. I think in this case, he can escape with death and leave. Beijing is a wise choice. Although there is no evidence to prove that he faked his death, I believe in my judgment. Just know this and don't publicize it. Cao stopped sobbing, and gradually believed Baitang Wangchuan's inference in her heart, but she still felt lost, staring blankly outside, muttering to herself, did he just leave like that? As he spoke, tears fell from his eyes again. Cao actually hoped that Xiaopingan would just leave like this, but she was really afraid that Xiaopingan would just leave like this. The girl's heart was tangled and her emotions were so gloomy that it was hard to describe. Looking at Cao's expression, Baitang Wangchuan sighed in his heart. By the way, the Judgment Army found something in Xiaopingan's office. What? Cao suddenly became energetic. I found this in Xiaoping's office. I'll bring it for you to see. Baitang Wangchuan said, and with a move of his hand, he took out a scroll and handed it to Cao. He took the scroll hastily and unfolded it directly on the table. On the scroll, under the moonlight, a woman with picturesque features holds up her skirt, climbs up the wall along the stairs, twists a sheet into a rope and hangs down from the wall, trying to turn over, but under the wall here, Xiaopinggan is helplessly lifting. He looked up at the female thief who wanted to climb over the wall. This painting is so vivid, and it vividly displays the scene at that time, especially the painting of Cao, wearing a blue dress, with picturesque eyebrows, the skin on his face is as white as porcelain, and his lips are as soft as petals. The bridge of the nose is high, the eyes are like autumn water, the waves are trembling, and there is some mischief and stubbornness in the eyes, and the sloppy hair is clearly visible one by one, as if it is alive. And Xiaopinggan, who is under the courtyard wall here, raised a hand, with a strange expression on his face. It was not that he was shocked to see someone climbing the wall, but with a smile, expectations, and blessings. It looked like he was trying to catch the woman who might fall off the wall at any time. He seemed to be talking to the woman who climbed up the wall, and he also seemed to be waving goodbye. At that time, Xiaopinggan did not raise his hand under the wall. This was saying goodbye to himself. Looking at Xiaopinggan in the painting, he suddenly understood, and tears suddenly welled up again. This painting technique is so perfect that no one in Shangjing City or the Great Shang Kingdom can paint such a painting, and I don't know who painted it. Look at the hair of the woman in this painting, each one is very thin. Only by describing can you draw, between the shades of ink, the power of the brush and the mind are integrated into one place, and you have reached the pinnacle of painting. However, the name of this painting is not serious. It is clearly a fairy descending to the earth, but the person who painted it said that it is a woman. The snitch is really hateful. Baitang Wangchuan commented seriously. The name of this painting is Female Snitch Under the Moonlight. Looking at the names on the paintings, Cao seemed to see Xiaoping and winking at her. Cao, who was crying, smiled again, like flowers blooming, but in the blink of an eye he cried again. Seeing Cao crying and laughing all at once, completely out of sadness, Baitang Wangchuan also breathed a sigh of relief, but looking at Cao's expression, Baitang Wangchuan also sighed in his heart. This time, that guy Xiaopinggan, not only ran away, but also took away the soul of Cao, damn. Is this a rough painting? I think the woman in the painting looks a bit like you. I'll bring it to you to see. If you don't want it, I'll throw it away, Baitang Wangchuan said seriously, pretending to go get it again. That painting. What do you want to do? This is mine. He quickly wiped away his tears and stared fiercely at Baitang Wangchuan with two peach-like eyes, like a tiger guarding its food, and started with both hands. Pushing Baitang Wangchuan, he pushed Baitang Wangchuan back towards the door. Get out, get out, get out, this is my room, I haven't let you in yet, you are the prince, how can you break into a girl's room? Baitang Wangchuan was pushed out of the room by Cao. It wasn't until Cao slammed the door mercilessly that a smile appeared on his face. After taking a few steps, Baitang Wangchuan suddenly frowned, his eyes suddenly turned sharp, and he looked at the sky with a look of horror on his face. A powerful aura suddenly descended from the sky and enveloped the entire Shangjing city. In just a moment, the entire sky in Shangjing city seemed to be on fire, revealing a rolling sea of blood that was about to topple down at any time. The National Defense Formation in the capital city, which had not been activated for hundreds of years, was activated in an instant. The light and shadow of the huge golden Optimus pillars entwined by giant dragons rumbled from the four directions of the upper city, southeast, northwest, and the imperial city, soared into the sky, pierced the night sky, and withstood the tumbling waves? Sea of blood. In an instant, in the sky over the entire capital city, within a radius of thousands of miles, colorful auroras were twisting and flashing. Among the twisting lights and shadows, there were densely packed lights and shadows of battle formations of warriors and warriors. Layers upon layers of battle formations stand in the clouds, dragons and phoenixes dance, and millions of soldiers and warriors are in the sky. They are both ethereal and real, and they seem to be ready to step out at any time. The bloody battle formation and the golden battle formation faced each other in the sky, and the huge pressure of destroying the world came from the sky, and all of a sudden the summoners in the capital were breathless. With that, this kind of ant feels panicked and helpless when facing the collapse of Mount Tai. The ground throughout Shangjing City was shaking, and there was a sudden commotion in the palace. Then, Baitang Wang Chuan heard the angry voice of his father in the palace. The blood demon sect is so brave, do you really think that our great Shang kingdom has no one? As soon as he finished speaking, a ray of light rose into the sky from the palace. Emperor Baitang Zhao of the great Shang kingdom was already standing in the void, looking at the uninvited guest from a distance. Baitang Zhao, hand over Xiaoping'an to me to take away. Otherwise, our blood demon sect will immediately go to war with the great Shang kingdom, and the entire great Shang kingdom will be buried with Xiaoping'an. A rumbling voice exploded domineeringly in the sky. The sound shook the entire Shangjing city. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 339. On the sea, the sky is full of stars and moon. The man in the iron mask walked out of his luxurious cabin and came to the balcony outside the cabin. He looked at the endless sea level and the dark blue sky above his head, blew the sea breeze, and let out a long breath. The giant ship was cutting through the waves on the sea, moving firmly and steadily towards its destination. The huge chimney on the giant ship was emitting black smoke, and the huge steam turbine in the cabin was driving the blades at the rear of the passenger ship to rotate through a complex mechanical mechanism, leaving a white line on the sea, driving this behemoth. Sailing on the sea. The decks of the economy class cabins on the lower floors were a bit crowded and far less comfortable than here. Many people were still blowing the sea breeze on the deck, admiring the scenery of the sea and posing. The photographers on the passenger ships were particularly busy at night. 3 silver coins per photo could capture the beautiful scenery on the ship. Bursts of flashes mixed with magnesium powder smoke continued to rise on the deck below, and there were also various kinds of smoke. Laughter and noise. Some people even started arguing over queuing up to take photos. The happiness of ordinary people is that simple. The man in the iron mask shook his head slightly and smiled. Until now, he had not fully understood why Xiaoping'an wanted to send this prisoner named Gui slave away from Shangjing City so solemnly. This prisoner didn't seem to have much to do with Xiaoping'an before. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, this errand will only take a few days and it's not tiring. Just think of it as a way to relax. He thought that being with Xiaoping'an would be uncomfortable, so he could only pinch his nose and go on, but he didn't expect that Xiaoping'an was actually quite interesting, at least more interesting than most people he knew. Staying by his side after a few days, the two of them felt like friends. Well, that guy Xiaoping'an also spent generously on the big shopkeeper, without letting the man in the iron mask suffer any loss. There was a sound like the friction of shackles coming from behind, and it was also accompanied by some heavy footsteps, walking towards here. The ghost slave also walked out of the VIP cabin behind him and came to the balcony. His messy straw-like hair was flying in the sea breeze. He stared blankly at the vast sea, not knowing what he was thinking. Last night, the VIPs downstairs were dissatisfied with the heavy footsteps in this room. After complaining to the crew to no avail, they came up to knock on the door and argue. The man in the iron mask opened the door of the room, and the unmasked face of the shackled ghost slave appeared in the room. Behind the door, the face of the person who came up to argue turned pale with fright. He was trembling all over. He hurriedly went down without even daring to say a word. When he went down the stairs, his steps were weak, he couldn't stand firmly and even fell. The ghost slave's face is such that it can ward off evil spirits. Although the two of them had been together for almost 2 days, they actually didn't talk much. The two people standing on the balcony were silent for a long time. The man in the iron mask seemed to feel that it was a little awkward and weird to stand here at night with a man who was as rough as a beast, blowing the sea breeze and looking at the stars and the sea, so he couldn't help but speak. "Your previous name shouldn't be Ghost Slave." The ghost slave was silent for a moment and then spoke, "No, just like you are not called the man in the iron mask. Of course, if my face is exposed and I follow an inspector, I will cause him a lot of trouble," the man in the iron mask said with some confidence. Although summoners in the Seven Sun realm are not scarce in the upper capital, but he can still be considered one of them. In the circle of masters above the Seven Yang realm in Shangjing City, he is not an unknown person. Following Xiaopingan, he is indeed too conspicuous. Hearing the words of the man in the iron mask, the ghost slave moved his face covered with scars. The scars were twisted, like a twisted horror canvas, and like a devil smiling, which was particularly scary. The ghost slave was laughing, and there was a sound in his throat. The whirring sound of a broken bellows leaking air. No matter how dull the man in the iron mask is, he still knows that this ghost slave is smiling. 2 days after boarding the passenger ship, this was the first time he saw a ghost slave smiling. The man in the iron mask frowned slightly. What's so funny? Trouble? I'm afraid you don't know what real trouble is, and that person won't be afraid of this trouble." The ghost slave turned his head and looked at the iron masked man. His eyes were a bit condescending, making the iron masked man a little uncomfortable. I thought why he asked you to send me away from Shangjing City, he just didn't want you to get involved in more trouble. You are lucky to have such a friend." "What's the meaning?" "Hongyi Villa is a man-eating demon cave in Shangjing City. If he wants to destroy Hongyi Villa, it may turn Shangjing City upside down and offend countless people. He doesn't want you to be implicated by him around him, nor does he want to influence me after I am released. His plan, so I asked you to send me away from Shangjing City as an excuse." The ghost slave smiled, but his eyes were particularly cold. The man in the iron mask suddenly changed his expression. The man in the iron mask wanted to say something, but suddenly he looked up at the sky. In the sky, a large group of powerful summoners crossed the sea in the air, piercing the night sky like meteors, flying over the dome of the passenger ship, and flew towards the upper capital. Soon, the second batch of summoners flew over the dome of the passenger ship. "Why are there so many summoners flying towards the capital in a hurry?" The man in the iron mask was surprised, but in the blink of an eye, he felt 2 extremely terrifying auras coming from the direction of Shangjing City. Behind the ship, in the night sky in the direction of Shangjing City, there was a strange rolling atmosphere as if it was on fire. Of red. This is Summoner's powerful aura of the kingdom of God coming. And there's more than one. There are demigods from the Ten Yang realm competing in the direction of Shangjing City. The man in the iron mask was shocked, and his face was filled with astonishment. Is this the beginning of the divine war? There is only one demigod in the entire Dashang kingdom, and that is the Emperor Baitang Zhao of the Dashang kingdom. In the entire Yuan Kai world, Baitang Zhao is a top figure, and he belongs to the top of the pyramid of strength and power, most likely a person who canonize gods. Those who can stand shoulder to shoulder with Baitang Zhao are top leaders and emperors. Although the difference between the Seven Sun realm and the Ten Yang realm seems to be only 3 levels, these 3 levels, at this stage, the first level is a world, and the man in the iron mask has to be in awe. Under the demigods, all are mortals. But at this moment, in the direction of the capital, there are 2 demigod auras. 2. What happened in Beijing? At the same time, the entire city of Shangjing was trembling, and the birth and death of all things seemed to be determined by the collision of the 2 forces in the sky. When he heard the person opposite say the name Xiaoping'an, Emperor Baitangzhao of the Great Shang Kingdom was equally astonished. Because of the name Xiaoping'an, he has heard it many times from last night to now. It was Xiaoping'an who opened the cover of Hongyi Villa and caused a panic in the capital. It was also Xiaoping'an who was assassinated in the compound of the inspectorate today. Unexpectedly, Xuanhuan, the leader of the blood demon sect, came to the capital in person for the sake of Xiaoping'an. Ha ha ha, Xuanhuan, you came to the capital city to control me and wanted a dead man. If you want to fight, then fight. Why do you need to find such a ridiculous reason? Baitangzhao's voice echoed in the sky throughout the capital city. Roaring like thousands of thunders, come on, if you dare to destroy Shangjing city of our great Shang kingdom today, I will crush your blood demon palace in the future. The descendants of the dark god of war, how can there be anyone who is afraid of war? In the sky, the leader of the blood demon sect, Xuanhuan, who was confronting Baitangzhao, was an old man with blood-red hair and beard, and a blood eye standing up between his eyebrows. His body was filled with demonic aura. Behind the old man, a battle formation of hundreds of thousands of warriors with thousands of faces was rolling in the blood cloud behind him, looming, as if they could pounce down at any time. Hearing Baitangzhao's words, Xuanhuan was also stunned, and the expression on his face changed. Damn, he received the demon god's order and rushed across the continent to the capital of the great Shang kingdom without any hesitation. That Xiaoping'an actually he is dead. Could someone have succeeded in advance? It is impossible. If Xiaoping'an is killed, the demon god order will be cancelled immediately, and he will feel it. Therefore, Xiaoping'an cannot die. The oracle of the dominant demon god, no matter who it is, whoever kills Xiaoping'an will gain eternal life, and whoever sacrifices blood to Xiaoping'an, the demon god will help him condense the divine will and directly become a god. Baitangzhao, you really want to stand in the way of my seal on the road to God? As long as you hand over Xiaoping'an, I will make a blood oath of the devil here. All followers of the blood demon sect will never set foot in the great Shang kingdom from today on. How about that, Xuanhuan, the leader of the blood demon sect? His voice spread throughout Shangjing city, and everyone in Shangjing city heard his words. I said, Xiaoping'an was assassinated today, and no one left his body. No one in the capital knew about it. Your disciples have caused trouble for me in the capital these days. Today, I just want to settle the score with you. Baitangzhao said. As soon as he raised his hand, a set of dark armor covered his body, and then he rushed directly towards Xuanhuan. Behind Baitangzhao are thousands of battle formations, layer upon layer. As he rushes forward, the momentum sweeps across the sky, even in the sky, with the momentum of the sky shattering and the earth shattering. The countless soldiers in the thousands of battle formations are fighting. Occasionally, the battle will emerge from the void, turning the void into reality, overwhelming the sky and the earth. Like the roaring waves of the angry sea, the millions of generals will sweep directly towards Xuanhuan, the leader of the blood demon section. My emperor is mighty. On the ground in the capital city, countless soldiers and summoners from the garrison and the imperial city guard felt their blood boiling with excitement when they saw this scene, and they all roared. The leader of the blood demon sect, Xuanhuan, raised his eyes, waved his hand, and a wave of blood rolled behind him. In an instant, countless soldiers and warriors would roll out of the blood cloud behind him, and they would move towards him like a raging wave and a landslide. The armies summoned by Baitangzhao swept away. 2 huge waves, and millions of summoned warriors collided violently in the sky above the capital city. In an instant, thunder danced in the sky, dragons and tigers roared, thousands of flaming arrows crossed the sky, countless mythical beasts and raptors soared out, and the scene of millions of troops colliding and fighting without fear of death was in Shangjing City. In the sky, it was displayed in front of everyone, making all the summoners in Shangjing City shake their hearts and make their mouths dry. The terrifying collision in the sky turned into a rain of colorful light all over the sky. For a moment, the entire Shangjing City was filled with light rain, like a dream. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 340. Is this the collision between the kingdoms of gods? On top of Pingshan Mountain, Lin Yi stood in his yard, raising his head, talking softly to himself, looking at the terrifying collision of fire and tide in the sky, his eyes shining. The dense array that covered the entire Shangjing City isolated the collision in the sky outside the array. The people in the array, like creatures on the seabed, could only look up at Baitang Zhao and Zi Emotion above the array. Two top summoners are competing. There were millions of summoned creatures fighting in the sky above the capital city. Every second, countless summoned creatures died, but countless more summoned creatures continued to appear. In the night sky, half was red and half was golden. Soldiers and warriors from both sides were constantly pouring out of the looming kingdom of God and rushing towards the battlefield. The collision between the kingdoms of gods is like two different spaces squeezed together, squeezing and colliding with each other. You can imagine the power involved. Because of the squeeze and friction of the kingdoms of gods, there are countless electric lights and lightning in the void. It was born, beating, roaring, and then blocked by the large formation in the capital. In such a terrifying collision, those in the Nine Sun realm may still have a chance to escape. Summoners below the Nine Sun realm will be reduced to scum in an instant if they are involved in the fighting of millions of summoning armies. Either one of the two people in the sky has the power to destroy a city or a country with just a raise of their hands. This collision between demigods and the kingdom of gods shocked the hearts of every summoner in Shangjing City. After seeing such a battle, all summoners could not help but put themselves into it and imagine themselves in it. How long can it last? Then, each summoner's face would turn a little pale. The contest between demigods and being able to witness this kind of battle between top summoners is a rare opportunity for every summoner, and it also brings a huge impact to everyone. Why can the Demon Lord provide such conditions for Xiaoping'an? Kill Xiaoping'an, get an immortal body, sacrifice Xiaoping'an's blood, condense the divine will and become a god. With such conditions, no wonder the Blood Demon Church went crazy and even Zi Emotion came to Shangjing in person. Ji Yi turned his head and glanced at the living room next to the courtyard. Just the night before yesterday, Xiaoping'an was still in that living room. If I were not the favored one of the Dark God of War, I could become a god by offering a blood sacrifice to Xiaoping'an. Could I refuse such an offer? Would I not be tempted? Under the temptation of becoming a god, what does a human life mean? Lin Yi also knew that Xiaoping'an's assassination today was a bit strange, but at this moment, even if Xiaoping'an was still alive, the situation he would face next would be unimaginable. In addition to the people of the Blood Demon cult, countless people would want his head and blood sacrifice for him. In this case, no one knows how long Xiaoping'an can survive. In such a collision between the kingdom of gods, both sides have actually not exerted their full strength and are restraining themselves. Neither side has summoned a truly powerful creature. Zi Emotion has not attacked the national defense formation in the capital, and the war in the kingdom of God has not been affected. To the people in the city, Baitang Zhao did not trigger a counterattack from the national defense formation, nor did he summon the Dark God of War to come. For the demigods, such a battle is just a warm-up. In the Pengwang auction house in Shangjing City, the beautiful Madame Xian in a long dress stood on the balcony of the auction house, looking up at the bursts of bright brilliance and light rain in the night sky. Her eyes were filled with shock. An old man in green clothes stood next to Ms. Xian. The big words just now were spoken by the old man. Compared to Ms. Xian, the old man's eyes were particularly cold. Baitang Zhao needs this battle, or in other words, this battle is exactly what he is looking forward to. MRS, and those people hiding in Hongyi Villa to eat people, alas, it really gives Baitang Zhao a headache. The emperor who can protect the great Shang kingdom and Shangjing city when the demigods invade is the truly good emperor. Not bad, the old man nodded. Mrs. Xian shook her head gently. Unfortunately, we found out a little too late. We didn't expect the demon lord to offer such a price to Xiaopingan. There must be a huge secret about Xiaopingan that we don't know. This secret is worthy of a divine position. Who can refuse it? Xiaopingan was assassinated today, and there are many doubts. I don't believe he is dead. The world of Yuankai hasn't been this lively for a long time. The old man stared at the sky. This time the magic door is opened. It may not take long for Zhumotion and Baitang Zhao to find the opportunity to become gods. What do you mean? Baitang Wangchuan will soon ascend the throne. What about this battle between demigods? It will be over before dawn. Zhumotion wants to get the exact news, and Baitang Zhao will not expand the war. I believe Xiaopingan is not dead yet. Can you always divine Xiaopingan's whereabouts? The old man in green shook his head and stretched out his hands from his sleeves. In his hands, the old man held a broken tortoise shell densely covered with runes and several ancient bronze coins. I have tried 2 coins just now. Every time, the divination results were imported into the spirit world. All I saw was a grey fog. The spirit world obscured everything. The 3 words Xiaopingan were blessed with the luck of the spirit world, and they could cover everything up. Xiaopingan does have a big secret. Mrs. Xian's eyes were suddenly filled with shock. Is that the legendary spiritual world you always talk about? The old man in green nodded slightly. The battle in the sky lasted for most of the night. Before dawn, as a bloody light rose into the sky, the blood cloud covering the sky dissipated in an instant. Zhumotion, the leader of the blood demon sect, had disappeared. In the sky above the entire capital city, only the majestic and tall figure of Baitang Zhao stood tall, like a pillar supporting the sky. Long live! Long live! My emperor's divine power! After going to the capital in fear all night, the cheers of the mountains and tsunamis finally rang out, and countless people were moved to tears. The crisis caused by the blood demon sect's attack on Shangjing city was finally resolved by Baitang Zhao. His Majesty is still His Majesty the Emperor. He is the patron saint of the entire Great Shang Kingdom and Shangjing city. His status and strength cannot be shaken by anyone. As the first ray of sunshine appeared among the clouds in the east, outside Shangjing city, in the void, Zhumotion stood on the clouds, and the master of Jinyu Palace stood in front of Yamotion. Next to him, a large number of Jinyu's who blood demon sect masters stood behind the master of Jinyu Palace, with their heads lowered and their hands hanging down. Like a group of good students. Then Xiaopingan was assassinated in Shangjing yesterday. Zhumotion's red hair was calm and breathless. Yes, this is the result of the Judgment Army's investigation, and there are many witnesses. Xiaopingan was assassinated in the inspection office compound yesterday, and his body was not found. The master of the Golden Moon Palace bowed and responded. Last night, there was a battle between Zhumotion and Baitang Zhao. Experts from the Blood Demon sect had already sneaked into Shangjing city to find out the news, and both sides were busy. Impossible, Xiaopingan is definitely not dead yet. Zhumotion's eyes widened with blood on his forehead, mysterious and strange. He said categorically, I fought with Baitang Zhao all night just to see where Xiaopingan was. I am not in Shangjing city, but there is no movement in Shangjing city. I searched Shangjing city with the eyes of the devil and cannot find Xiaopingan in Shangjing city. There is nothing abnormal inside or outside the imperial city of Shangjing city. It seems that Xiaopingan is no longer here. He committed suicide yesterday in Shangjing city. He should have faked his death to escape. Xiaopingan must not have gone far. He immediately followed the water and land transportation in Shangjing city to trace it. All summoners who left Shangjing City should not miss it. Xuanhuan said, waved his hand, and hundreds of strange bronze mirrors appeared beside him, floating in the void. Those bronze mirrors were diamond-shaped, slightly longer at both ends and slightly narrower in the middle, just like the ones on Xuanhuan's forehead. Looking up, the bronze mirrors flashed with a strange luster. This is the magic weapon of the face mirror. Xiaoping'an is full of tricks. He wants to escape and leave Shangjing City. He uses something other than his true face. But no matter what his appearance is now, as long as he looks at this face mirror, he will be able to do anything. Escape. Take it, whoever kills the blood sacrifice Xiaoping'an, the reward of dominating the demon will fall on whose head it depends on your luck. When the blood demon cult members saw that this magical facial mirror was available, they were all overjoyed, as if they had been injected with chicken blood, and each took a facial mirror. Go ahead. Xuanhuan waved his hand. Yes. In the sky, except for Xuanhuan and the master of Jinyu Palace, all the people of the blood demon sect scattered and flew in all directions of the upper capital. Jinyu Palace acted quickly and decisively this time, not bad. Xuanhuan looked at the master of Jinyu Palace, his voice suddenly became gentle, everyone else has gone, why don't you go? My subordinates are by my ancestors' side, listening to my ancestors' instructions at any time. I will be satisfied if I help my ancestor capture the blood sacrifice. If my ancestor can become a god, this is my subordinate's greatest wish. The master of Jinyu Palace looked sincere. He said with a smile and saluted Xuanhuan again. People who don't know, really think that the two are biological grandparents. Xuanhuan's eyes flashed, and then he laughed. Yes, yes, there is indeed a reason why the Golden Moon Palace can develop and grow in your hands. I saw the right person. I wonder what the ancestor has ordered. The members of the Blood Demon sect from other states are also coming to Jinyu continent and Dashang country. You can pass my order and bring those people to see me. I will give them the magic mirror to help them find Xiaoping'an as soon as possible. Complete the demon god's order. Yes. The train is still running tirelessly on the railway. At dawn, the two little animal lovers who had rested all night came to knock on the door of Xiaoping'an's room again. Uncle, uncle, we have thought of something that the eagle owl can eat. The two little guys called outside the door. After calling for a while, they found that there was no response or sound at all in Xiaoping'an's room. The two little guys looked at each other and thought that Xiaoping'an was going to the dining car for breakfast. The two boldly pushed the door open, only to find that Xiaoping'an was going to the dining car for breakfast. There is no one in the peaceful room, it is empty, the salute, the birdcage, and the people are all gone.